Dawn breaks over Pittsburgh 1890. Black smoke rises from 1,000 chimneys. The sun can barely shine through the haze. Steel mills roar without stopping. Factory whistles cut through the morning air. This is America in the Gilded Age. Walk down Fifth Avenue in New York. Marble mansions rise like mountains. Turn the corner into 5 Points. Children sleep in doorways. They use old newspapers as blankets. The same city holds both heaven and hell. Just a few blocks and millions of dollars separate them. Mark Twain named this era perfectly. The Gilded Age. Not golden, but gilded. A thin layer of gold hiding the rust beneath. Rich men lived like kings while workers died for pennies. Democracy looked more like an empire. Opportunity knocked for some while most stayed poor. Between 1865 and 1901, America changed completely. The Civil War ended. Farms became factories. Small towns became great cities. The first skyscrapers reached toward heaven. Electric lights turned night into day. A few men built fortunes beyond imagination. Millions of others built those fortunes with their sweat and blood. This is their story. Andrew Carnegie came from Scotland with nothing. He built an empire of steel. John D. Rockefeller crushed his rivals to create Standard Oil. J.P. Morgan had so much money he saved the United States government from bankruptcy. But this is also the story of the nameless millions. The immigrants who fled poverty only to find new hardships. The children who worked in factories instead of going to school. The farmers who watched progress leave them behind. Tonight, we travel through America's most dramatic transformation, where progress and poverty lived side by side, where new inventions changed everything while old problems remained, where the future was being born in laboratories and boardrooms while the past died in tenements and breadlines. Close your eyes, listen to the Gilded Age, steam engines hissing, hammers ringing on steel, telegraph keys clicking out fortunes and failures, different languages mixing at Ellis Island, champagne glasses clinking in Newport mansions, children coughing in sweatshops. America was writing its modern story. The ink was gold, but the price was blood. The ink was gold, but the price was blood. And in 1865 that blood still stained the earth from Pennsylvania to Georgia. Where cannon fire once split the air, factory whistles now called workers to their shifts. The battlefields of Gettysburg lay silent. Grass grew over shallow graves. But in Pittsburgh and Cleveland, new sounds filled the air. Hammers on anvils, steam engines chugging. The War of Brothers had ended. The war for America's future had just begun. Travel south from Washington and you see a broken land. Atlanta still smoulders from Sherman's fires. Richmond's grand buildings stand like broken teeth against the sky. Plantations that once grew cotton now grow weeds. The mansions remain, but their windows stare empty at overgrown fields. The Old South is dead. What will grow in its place no one yet knows. But travel north and you find a different story. Factories that made rifles now make plows. Mills that wove uniforms now weave cloth for a growing nation. The war fed these factories. Peace would make them hungry for more workers, more resources, more power. The machines that helped win the war would not stop just because the shooting had. The numbers tell a story too terrible for words. 620,000 Americans dead, more than all other American wars combined. In some towns, every young man gone. Widows outnumber wives. Children grow up with photographs for fathers. The lucky ones came home missing only limbs. The unlucky ones came home missing their minds. They sit on porches staring at nothing, fighting battles no one else can see. And then, just 5 days after the war ends, a gunshot in a theatre changes everything again. Abraham Lincoln falls. The man who held the nation together through its darkest hours is gone. John Wilkes Booth thought he was avenging the South. Instead, he robbed the nation of the one leader both sides trusted. Without Lincoln's steady hand, the peace would be harder than the war. Andrew Johnson takes the oath with whiskey on his breath and revenge in his heart. Where Lincoln preached malice toward none, Johnson brings malice toward many. The radical Republicans in Congress want to punish the South. Johnson wants to restore it quickly. Between them, the freed slaves wait and wonder what their freedom means. 4 million people woke up to freedom in 1865. No more masters. No more whips. No more families sold apart, but also no land. No money. No education. Freedom came with empty hands. The Freedmen's Bureau tries to help. They build schools. They distribute food. They reunite families torn apart by slavery. But they fight an uphill battle against poverty, hatred, and fear. In Mississippi, a former slave named Jordan Anderson receives a letter from his old master. "Come back and work for wages," the master writes. Anderson's response becomes famous. He calculates what he's owed for years of unpaid labour. The sum is impossible. The message is clear. The old ways are dead, even if the old masters don't know it yet. The old ways are dead, even if the old masters don't know it yet. And nothing kills the old ways faster than the railroad. In 1865, California feels as far from New York as China. The journey takes months, by ship around South America, or by wagon across hostile lands. But in Washington, men with vision and greed see a different future. A railroad spanning the continent, iron rails binding east to west, the greatest construction project the world has ever seen. Congress makes it a race. 2 companies, 2 starting points. The Central Pacific builds east from Sacramento. The Union Pacific builds west from Omaha. They'll meet somewhere in the middle. For every mile of track the government pays, in money, in land, the more track you lay, the richer you become. The race is on. The Central Pacific faces the Sierra Nevada mountains. Granite walls rise 7,000 feet above sea level. Everyone says it's impossible. You can't build a railroad through solid rock. But Charles Crocker has a solution. Chinese workers. Thousands of them. Men who built the Great Wall can surely build a railroad. They call him Ah Chow, though that's not his real name. The white foreman can't pronounce Chinese names, so everyone becomes Charlie or John or Ah Chow. He left Guangdong province when drought killed the crops. His village pooled money for his passage. In California, they said gold grows on trees. Instead, he finds himself hanging from a rope on a cliff face, 2,000 feet above a river. The work is beyond dangerous. It's murderous. Chinese workers lower themselves down sheer cliffs in wicker baskets. They drill holes in the granite, pack them with black powder, light the fuse, then pray the crew above pulls them up before the explosion. Not everyone makes it. When winter comes, they dig tunnels through 40-foot snowdrifts just to reach the rock face. Avalanches bury whole crews. They won't find the bodies until spring. The pay is $30 a month. White workers get $35 plus board. Chinese workers buy their own food. They drink tea instead of the dirty water that sickens white crews. They eat vegetables and rice while others eat beans and beef. They bathe regularly, which the white workers find strange. They work longer, complain less, and die more. By the time the railroad is done, no one counts how many Chinese bodies lie beneath the rails. Meanwhile, the Union Pacific races across the plains. Irish immigrants dominate these crews. Fresh from the potato famine, they'll take any work. The plains seem easy after the mountains, until summer comes. Temperatures hit 110 degrees. Water is scarce. Native Americans attack the crews invading their lands. Buffalo stampede through camps. But the Irish crews lay track with military precision. A supply train brings rails and ties. Workers grab them like a bucket brigade. The sledgehammers ring out a rhythm. 3 strokes per spike, 10 spikes per rail, 400 rails per mile. The crews become machines themselves. Wake at dawn, coffee and beans. Lay track until noon, more beans. Lay track until sunset. Whiskey and cards. Sleep under the stars. Do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. The railroad pays $2.50 a day. Good money for men who knew starvation in Ireland. As 1869 begins, the 2 railroads close in on each other. The race becomes frantic. Both companies claim the same territory in Utah. Their grading crews pass each other going opposite directions. Finally, Congress chooses Promontory Point as the meeting place. May 10, 1869. A crowd gathers in the Utah desert. Leland Stanford of the Central Pacific holds a golden spike. He swings the silver hammer and misses. The crowd laughs. He swings again. This time he connects. Telegraph wires carry the sound of hammer on spike to both coasts. In San Francisco and New York, bells ring. Cannons fire. America is united by iron rails. But Ah Chow isn't there to celebrate. He's already moving to the next job. Another railroad needs building. Another mountain needs blasting. His bones ache. His hands are scarred. Half his crew is dead. But he sends money home each month. His village will survive another year. That's all that matters. The golden spike means nothing to him. Gold was always a lie anyway. The only truth is work and death and family far away. Gold was always a lie anyway. The only truth is work and death and family far away. But in Pennsylvania, a different kind of gold erupts from the ground. Black gold. Oil. Edwin Drake strikes oil near Titusville in 1859. By 1865, the war over, the oil rush begins in earnest. Where farmers once grew corn, derricks now grow like metal forests. The earth bleeds black wealth. Men who yesterday pitched hay now pitch their savings into holes in the ground. Some strike it rich. Most strike nothing but debt. The oil fields are chaos made visible. No rules. No regulations. No mercy. Derricks crowd so close they touch. One spark can turn a fortune into an inferno. And sparks fly everywhere. From tools. From lanterns. From the cigars men smoke while sitting on barrels of crude. When fire comes, it comes fast. Men burn alive trying to save their wells. The lucky ones die quick. Samuel Andrews watches this chaos and sees opportunity. Not in drilling, that's gambling, but in refining, turning crude oil into kerosene for lamps. That's business. He opens a refinery in Cleveland. The smell makes people sick. The river catches fire from the waste, but kerosene lights homes across America, and money flows like the oil itself. The oil boom changes how Americans work. Thomas Brennan was a cooper. For 20 years he made barrels by hand. Each one took skill. Each one bore his mark. Now a machine makes 50 barrels in the time he made one. The barrels hold oil. The machine needs only a boy to run it. Brennan's craft is worthless. He takes a job tending the machine. $50 a day instead of the $4 he made as a craftsman. This story repeats everywhere. Shoemakers become factory hands. Blacksmiths become machine operators. The work that gave men pride now belongs to machines. A man's skill means nothing. Only his time matters. 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours, whatever the factory demands. The factories demand blood too. No safety guards on machines. No compensation for injuries. Lose a finger in the gears? Back to work tomorrow or lose your job? Fall into a vat of acid? Your widow gets nothing but your final pay. Maybe, if the foreman feels generous. In Pittsburgh, Andrew Carnegie watches men die building his fortune. A furnace explodes. 7 dead. The furnace runs again the next day. A crane cable snaps. 3 dead. New cable, same crane, work continues. He posts signs about safety, but the signs don't slow production. Speed matters more than lives. Lives are cheap. Time is money. The smart men see patterns forming. John D. Rockefeller studies the oil business like a preacher studies the Bible. He sees waste everywhere. Drillers competing, refiners undercutting each other, railroads playing everyone against everyone. Chaos where there should be order, competition where there should be control. In his Cleveland office, Rockefeller makes lists. Every refinery, every owner, every weakness. He's patient. Oil wells go dry, but refineries last forever. Drillers go broke, but the need for kerosene only grows. Let others gamble on holes in the ground. He'll control what comes out of them. Carnegie thinks bigger. Why buy iron when you can own the mines? Why pay railroads when you can own the tracks? Why depend on anyone when you can own everything? Vertical integration, he'll call it later. Now he just calls it common sense. The old ways die harder in some places. In small towns, the blacksmith still shoes horses. The cooper still makes barrels. The craftsman still takes pride in his work. But the railroad brings factory goods. Cheaper, faster, more uniform. The craftsman's pride doesn't pay the bills. Young men leave small towns for factory cities. They trade fresh air for smoke, trade independence for wages, trade pride for survival. The American dream changes shape. It's no longer about land and freedom. It's about money and power, and the men who understand this first will own the future. The future smells like oil and tastes like coal dust. It sounds like machines that never sleep and whistles that call men to work before dawn. It looks like cities growing upward and outward, swallowing farms and forests. The old America is dying. The new America is being born in fire and smoke and the dreams of ambitious men who see gold where others see only dirt. The old America is dying. The new America is being born in fire and smoke and the dreams of ambitious men who see gold where others see only dirt. No one dreams bigger than the small Scottish boy working in a cotton mill in Allegheny City. Andrew Carnegie is 12 years old. The year is 1848. His family just arrived from Scotland, fleeing poverty only to find more poverty. The cotton mill pays him $1.20 a week. 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. The noise hurts his ears. The lint fills his lungs. But worse than the noise and the lint is the darkness. No windows in the mill, no sky, no sun, just gas light and cotton dust and the endless clatter of machines. At night he dreams of light, of windows, of money enough to never see the inside of a mill again. His mother sees him coughing up cotton dust and worries. His father, a failed weaver replaced by the very machines his son tends, drinks and despairs. But Andrew doesn't despair. He plans. The telegraph company needs a messenger boy. $2.50 a week. More than double his mill wages. Carnegie quits the mill and runs messages through Pittsburgh's muddy streets. But he doesn't just deliver messages. He memorizes them. He learns which businesses send which messages. He teaches himself to read telegraph clicks by sound. Soon he can take messages without writing them down. The Pennsylvania Railroad notices the bright Scottish boy. Tom Scott, superintendent of the Western Division, needs a secretary, $35 a month. Carnegie jumps at it. But again, he doesn't just write letters. He learns the railroad business. Every detail, every connection, every opportunity. One morning in 1855, a terrible crash blocks the tracks. Scott is away. Trains back up in both directions. Disaster looms. Carnegie, just 20 years old, does something unthinkable. He sends telegrams signed with Scott's name. Move this train here. Send that train there. Clear the wreck. Resume traffic. When Scott returns, he expects chaos. Instead, he finds the trains running on time. The boy has nerve. Carnegie saves his salary, invests in oil, invests in sleeping cars, invests in iron bridges. By 1865, he makes $50,000 a year, more than the president. But he sees something others miss. The age of iron is ending. The age of steel is beginning. In England, Henry Bessemer invents a process that makes steel cheap. Blow air through molten iron. The impurities burn away. What took a day now takes 20 minutes. Carnegie sees the future in that blast of air. He visits England, studies the process, returns to Pittsburgh with plans. Carnegie opens his first steel plant, the Edgar Thomson Works, named after the Pennsylvania Railroad president. Not from sentiment, strategy. The railroad needs steel rails. Name the plant after their president, get their contracts. Business is business. But Carnegie thinks bigger than one plant. Why buy iron ore from others? Buy the mines. Why pay to ship ore? Buy the boats. Why depend on railroads? Buy the tracks. Control everything from the hole in the ground to the finished steel beam. Vertical integration. Own every step. Cut out every middleman. Drive down every cost. The strategy works. Carnegie steel costs less. Sells for less. Drives competitors into bankruptcy. Then Carnegie buys them too. Cheap. Their workers come with the purchase. Desperate men work for desperate wages. The human cost mounts with the profits. In Carnegie's mills, men work 12-hour shifts in heat that kills. When they stagger at the furnace, molten steel burns them alive. When they slip on the platforms, they fall into the machinery. The company records list them as careless workers. No compensation for widows. No payment for funerals. Just a new man on the next shift. May 31, 1889, Johnstown, Pennsylvania. The South Fork Dam holds back a private lake. A retreat for Pittsburgh millionaires, including Carnegie. The dam needs repairs. The millionaires want their lake. They patch instead of rebuild. Rain falls for days, the dam groans, then breaks. 20 million tons of water race down the valley. A wall of water 40 feet high, moving faster than a train. Trees, houses, trains, people, all swept away. 2,209 dead. Whole families erased. Carnegie is in Scotland when the flood hits. He sends money for relief, but he doesn't visit Johnstown, doesn't see the bodies, doesn't hear the mothers searching for children who will never be found. The millionaires' club that owned the dam faces no punishment. Money protects money, the dead stay dead. The flood haunts Carnegie. Not enough to change his business, but enough to change his philosophy. He writes, The Gospel of Wealth. The rich are trustees for the poor. They must use wealth for society's good, but only they can decide what's good. Not government, not unions, not the poor themselves, the rich know best. He builds libraries, 209 of them. Everyone bears his name. He funds universities, builds concert halls, creates foundations, all bearing his name. He gives away $350 million, but he keeps making money faster than he can give it away. The mills run day and night. The workers still die. The widows still get nothing. But now their children can read books in Carnegie libraries. If they're not working in Carnegie mills, by 1900, Carnegie produces more steel than all of Britain. The Scottish weaver's son owns an empire, from cotton mill darkness to steel mill fortune. The American dream made real. Never mind the men who died building it. Never mind the families destroyed by flood and furnace. Success justifies everything. Money washes all sins clean. But Carnegie grows tired. Tired of the blood. Tired of the struggle. Tired of being the richest man in the world. He wants to give it all away. To die poor. To buy his way into heaven with libraries and universities. J.P. Morgan wants to buy him out. Create a steel trust bigger than anything the world has seen. Carnegie names his price, $480 million. Morgan pays without blinking. United States Steel is born, the first billion-dollar corporation, built on Scottish dreams and American blood. United States Steel is born, the first billion-dollar corporation, built on Scottish dreams and American blood. But in Cleveland, another empire grows, not from fire and steel, but from patience and calculation. John D. Rockefeller doesn't build things, he devours them. Rockefeller's story begins with abandonment. His father, William, is a con man, literally. Devil Bill, they call him. He sells fake cancer cures to desperate people, disappears for months, returns with money and lies. Young John watches his mother count pennies while his father counts stolen dollars. The lesson burns deep. Trust no one. Control everything. Never be poor again. At 16, Rockefeller starts work as a bookkeeper. Numbers don't lie like fathers do. Debits and credits always balance. He records every penny he earns, every penny he spends. 3 cents for a church donation, written down. 2 cents for an apple, written down. His ledgers become his Bible. Order from chaos, control from confusion. The Civil War creates opportunity. The Union Army needs food. Rockefeller and a partner supply it. But John sees something others miss. The real money isn't in selling goods. It's in controlling how goods move. Specifically, oil. The new fuel lighting American homes. Cleveland sits perfectly between the oil fields and the eastern cities. Railroads compete for business. Rockefeller plays them against each other, but he thinks bigger. Why compete when you can conspire? Rockefeller forms Standard Oil. He owns the biggest refinery in Cleveland, but big isn't enough. He wants everything. The Cleveland massacre begins. Not with guns, but with mathematics. Here's how it works. Rockefeller goes to a competitor, shows him the books. Standard Oil refines oil for $1.50 a barrel. The competitor's cost is $2.50. Sell to me now, Rockefeller says, or I'll drive you out of business. Take stock in Standard Oil or take nothing when you go bankrupt. Your choice. 22 refineries operate in Cleveland. In 6 months, only Standard Oil remains. The others sell or fail. Rockefeller buys their equipment for scrap prices, hires their best workers, leaves their owners with Standard Oil stock or nothing at all. Most take the stock. It makes them rich eventually. But they're not oil men anymore. They're Rockefeller's servants. The secret to Rockefeller's success lives in details others ignore. Railroad rebates, not just discounts on his own shipping, but payments from what his competitors ship. Yes, you read that right. When rival refineries ship oil, the railroads pay Rockefeller. The more his competitors ship, the more money he makes. It's brilliant, it's evil, it's business. Standard Oil grows like a cancer. By 1880, it controls 90% of American oil refining. The octopus, newspapers call it. Tentacles reaching everywhere, into railroads, into pipelines, into government, into the lamps of almost every American home. But here's the contradiction. The man who crushes competitors teaches Sunday school every week, never misses. The man who bribes legislators leads prayers. The man who destroys families gives millions to charity. How does he reconcile this? Simple. God wants him rich, poverty is sin, wealth is virtue, his success proves God's favor. Rockefeller doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't swear, goes home to his wife every night, in bed by 10, up at 6, the same routine every day, breakfast at 7, office by 8, home by 6, dinner at 7, prayers at 9, even his days off follow schedules, golf at specific times, drives at specific speeds, everything controlled, everything measured. Then comes 1890. Oil discoveries in Ohio and Indiana flood the market. The price crashes. 10 cents a barrel. Oil cheaper than water. Refineries close across the country. Workers lose jobs. Families starve. Rockefeller's response? He smiles. Tells his executives to buy. Buy every barrel. Buy every refinery. Buy every oil field. When others see disaster, he sees opportunity. He has cash. They need cash. He can wait. They can't. Standard Oil buys millions of barrels at 10 cents, stores them, waits. The flood slows, Prices rise, 50 cents, $1, $2. Rockefeller sells. The profit is obscene. More important, more competitors are gone. Crisis creates monopoly. But the octopus grows too visible. States pass laws against Standard Oil. Rockefeller creates a new structure, a trust. 40 companies that seem independent but answer to 9 trustees. Who control the trustees? Rockefeller, the octopus, learns to hide its tentacles. Journalists expose the scheme. Ida Tarbell writes the history of Standard Oil, shows the rebates, the bribes, the crushed competitors, the ruined families. America reads and rages, but Rockefeller doesn't care. Let them write. Let them rage. He has the oil. They need the oil. Business is business. By 1900, Rockefeller is the richest American, worth $900 million more than the federal budget. He could buy Carnegie twice over, but money brings no peace. His hair falls out from stress. His stomach rebels against his controlled diet. He can't sleep despite his rigid schedule. The doctor tells him to retire or die. Rockefeller chooses retirement. Sort of. He steps back from daily operations, plays more golf, gives away more money. But he never stops calculating, never stops controlling. Even his charity follows systems. Maximum impact, minimum waste. Everything measured, everything recorded. Standard Oil rolls on without him. The tentacles keep reaching. The monopoly keeps growing until the government finally acts. But that's a story for another time. For now, know this. John D. Rockefeller built an empire on ledgers and lies, on patience and ruthlessness, on Sunday prayers and Monday betrayals. He dies the richest man in American history, worth $340 billion in today's money. His foundations still shape the world. His universities still teach. His hospitals still heal. Built on oil. Paid for in the dreams he crushed. The American way. Get rich. Give back. Hope God keeps poor accounting. The American way. Get rich. Give back. Hope God keeps poor accounting. But John Pierpont Morgan keeps different books. He doesn't count pennies like Rockefeller. He doesn't build mills like Carnegie. He counts countries. He builds empires from paper and promises. Morgan's nose tells his story before he opens his mouth. Rhinophyma, the doctors call it. A disease that turns his nose into a purple-pitted monster. Children run when they see him. Adults try not to stare, but the nose gives him power. People remember the nose, fear the nose, and fear in finance is currency. He grows the mustache to distract from the nose. It doesn't work. Photographers learn to shoot him from the left side only. He pays newspapers to retouch his images, but in person, in the boardrooms where he rules, the nose dominates. Behind that nose sits a brain that thinks in millions while others think in thousands. Morgan doesn't start poor like Carnegie or Rockefeller. His father is a banker. His grandfather was a banker. Money flows in the family blood. Young Pierpont learns banking like other boys learn baseball. By 20 he trades cotton. By 30 he trades companies. By 40 he trades in nations' fates. Wall Street in the 1880s is chaos. Hundreds of banks, thousands of companies, no rules, no order. Morgan hates disorder. He begins to organize, not by building, by buying, by combining, by forcing agreement through sheer will and that terrifying nose. His method is simple. Lock the enemies in a room. His room. Don't let them leave until they agree. The yacht helps. Invite rivals for a cruise. Once at sea, they can't escape. They must listen. They must deal. They must submit. The nose looms across the table. The mustache twitches. They always submit. America faces disaster. Gold reserves empty. The government is broke. President Cleveland swallows his pride, calls Morgan. The banker takes a special train to Washington, enters the White House like a king visiting a peasant. The meeting is legend. Cleveland explains the crisis. Morgan listens, says nothing. The silence stretches. Officials sweat. Morgan thinks. Finally he speaks. He will save America. For a price. He'll provide gold. 3.5 million ounces. In return he wants bonds. Special bonds. At special prices. The president has no choice. One man saves the country. One man profits from the saving. The nose wins again. But Morgan's greatest deal is yet to come. Carnegie wants out of steel. Morgan wants to create the ultimate trust. They meet on a golf course. Carnegie scribbles a number on paper. $480 million. Morgan glances at it. I accept, he says. No negotiation, no hesitation. The biggest deal in history takes 30 seconds. Morgan combines Carnegie Steel with other companies. Federal Steel, National Steel, American Steel and Wire. The combination becomes United States Steel. Capitalized at $1.4 billion, the first billion-dollar corporation, bigger than the federal government's budget. Morgan waters the stock, sells shares worth twice the actual assets. Investors buy anyway. The Morgan name means gold. U.S. Steel controls 70% of American steel production. Morgan sits at the center like a spider, not owning, controlling. His bank holds the shares, manages the voting trusts, collects the fees. Carnegie built things. Rockefeller refined things. Morgan just controls things. His lifestyle matches European royalty, multiple mansions, private trains, a yacht that rivals naval vessels. He collects art like stamps, buys entire collections from bankrupt European nobles, ships them to America, fills his library with manuscripts worth more than factories. The library becomes his throne room. Titans of industry come begging, sit in chairs designed to make them uncomfortable, stare at art worth more than their companies, wait for Morgan to speak. He makes them wait. Power is making millionaires wait like schoolboys. Then comes 1907. The panic starts with copper speculation, spreads to stocks, banks fail, trust companies collapse, depositors riot. America slides toward depression. The government has no Federal Reserve, no safety net, only Morgan. He turns his library into a war room, summons every major banker, locks the doors. No one leaves until they pledge money. Millions, tens of millions, whatever it takes. He charts which banks to save, which to let die. God playing with money instead of souls. For 2 weeks, Morgan holds the economy together by force of will, and knows. He saves this trust company, lets that one fail, buys Tennessee coal and iron for U.S. Steel at panic prices, uses the crisis to grow stronger. By November, the panic ends. Morgan saved America. Morgan profited from saving America. Both statements are true. But the 1907 panic shows the danger. One man shouldn't have such power, even with a nose like that. Congress investigates, creates the Federal Reserve, limits the trusts. The age of Morgan begins to end. He doesn't care. He's old, rich beyond meaning, owns art that museums envy, controls companies that nations fear, the nose that everyone mocked rules from Wall Street to Washington. He proves something Carnegie and Rockefeller didn't. In America, you don't need to build anything. You don't need to make anything. You just need to control the money. The rest follows. Morgan dies in 1913 in Rome, surrounded by art, worth merely $80 million, less than Carnegie gave away, less than Rockefeller spent on charity. But his legacy is different. He created the modern financial system, proved that paper is power, that debt is wealth, that a man with an ugly nose can make beautiful deals. The American century would be built on Morgan's model. Money moving money, paper creating paper, wealth without work, the ultimate American dream. The American century would be built on Morgan's model. Money moving money, paper creating paper, wealth without work, the ultimate American dream. But someone has to do the actual work. Someone has to bleed for the paper profits. 4:30 a.m., Pittsburgh, still dark. No streetlights in the workers' quarters. Men stumble from tenement doors. No time for breakfast. Just cold coffee if they're lucky. They join rivers of shadows flowing toward the mills. Thousands of feet on cobblestones. The morning march of the defeated. Thomas Kowalski is 15, officially. The foreman doesn't check birth certificates. Thomas might be 13 or 12. Age doesn't matter. Size matters. Small enough to crawl between the machines. Quick enough to dodge the gears. Lucky enough to still have all his fingers. So far. The factory whistle screams. 5 a.m. Late workers lose pay. The doors slam shut. Inside, the heat already builds. In summer, it reaches 120 degrees. In winter, it's either freezing near the doors or roasting near the furnaces. No middle ground. No mercy. The noise hits like a physical blow. Looms crashing. Gears grinding, steam hissing. Men shout to be heard. Most give up. Hand signals develop. Point to the danger. Nod when understood. Shake your head when the foreman isn't watching. The machines never stop, never slow, never care. In the textile mills, children work the looms. Their small fingers tie broken threads faster than adults. Sarah McKenna started at 8. Now she's 10. Already her back curves from bending. Her fingers bleed from the threads. The cotton dust fills her lungs. She coughs constantly. The foreman tells her to cough quieter. The noise disturbs the work. The coal breakers are worse. Boys sit on wooden planks. Coal rushes down chutes. They pick out slate and rock. 10 hours bent over. Coal dust turns them black, turns their lungs black. Most don't live to 30, but 30 seems forever away when you're 9. The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory sits in Greenwich Village. 10 floors of sewing machines. 500 workers, mostly young women. Immigrants, Jewish and Italian. They make the shirtwaists America loves. The Gibson girl look clean, crisp, modern. The girls who make them will never afford them. The doors stay locked during work hours. Owners say it prevents theft. Really, it prevents bathroom breaks, prevents fresh air, prevents escape. The windows are nailed shut. Fabric scraps pile everywhere. Oil from the machines soaks into wood floors. The whole building is kindling. Everyone knows. No one with power cares. Rosa Friedman works the 9th floor. 16 years old, $6 a week. She supports her mother and 3 siblings. The 4-woman times bathroom breaks. 2 minutes. Lines form. Girls wet themselves rather than lose pay. The American dream smells like urine and machine oil. Accidents happen every day, every hour. A girl's hair catches in a sewing machine, scalped. A man's sleeve snags a gear, arm crushed. A boy slips on oil, falls into grinding wheels. The machines don't stop for blood. Production schedules don't allow for funerals. When workers get hurt, they're fired. Simple as that. No compensation, no medical care, no sympathy, damaged goods. Plenty more where they came from. Ships arrive daily with fresh immigrants, fresh hands, fresh hope to be ground into profit. Michael O'Brien loses 3 fingers to a steel press. The foreman fires him before the bleeding stops. Can't work the press with 7 fingers. His family has no savings. His wife takes in washing. His children quit school. His oldest son, 12, takes his place at the press. The cycle continues. Some factories provide doctors, company doctors. They work for the owners, not the workers. Lose a hand? Doctor says you were careless. Develop lung disease? You were weak to begin with. Die on the job? Your family should have fed you better. The reports always blame the worker. The company is never responsible. The reformers come sometimes. Take photographs, write reports, show how children work 14 hours, how women faint from heat, how men die from preventable accidents. The owners respond, install a fan, post a safety sign, wait for the reformers to leave, remove the fan, ignore the sign, business as usual. But the workers adapt. They have to. They develop their own systems. When someone gets hurt, they pass the hat. Everyone gives what they can. Pennies mostly, but pennies add up. Enough for a funeral, maybe enough for a week's rent. They share food, share medicine, share the knowledge of which foreman hits hardest, which machines kill most often. They dream of different lives, of farms back in Poland or Italy, of children getting educated, of 8-hour days, of unions. But dreams don't pay rent, don't buy bread. So they wake at 4:30, stumble through dark streets, enter the gates of hell, and count themselves lucky to have work at all. The factory owners count too. Count profits. Count productivity. Count everything but the cost in blood. The machines need feeding. The workers are the food. When one breaks, find another. The supply seems endless. The demand never stops. This is efficiency. This is progress. This is the engine that drives the Gilded Age, powered by human fuel, maintained by human suffering, justified by the fortunes it builds for men who never see the inside of their own factories. This is the engine that drives the Gilded Age, powered by human fuel, maintained by human suffering, justified by the fortunes it builds for men who never see the inside of their own factories. And every day, ships bring fresh fuel across the Atlantic. In the belly of the SS Germania, 900 people share space meant for cargo. They call it steerage because it's near the steering mechanism. The noise of the engines pounds day and night. No windows, no air, just the smell of vomit, sweat, and hope going sour. Maria Benedetto clutches her 2 children. Everything they own fits in one cloth bundle. A few clothes, her mother's rosary, a piece of paper with her cousin's address in New York. Maybe the address is good. Maybe the cousin still lives there. Maybe doesn't matter. There's no going back to Sicily. The drought killed that option along with the crops. The ship rocks. People vomit into buckets that overflow. Children cry. Mothers sing lullabies in a dozen languages, Polish mixing with Italian, Russian with Greek. The song's different, the dream's the same. America, where streets are paved with gold, where anyone can become rich, where your children won't starve. 14 days of this. Bread and soup once a day, water that tastes like rust, toilets that overflow. People die, bodies wrapped in canvas and dropped into the Atlantic. No priests, no prayers anyone can hear over the engines, just gone. The living take their bunks, take their food rations, move on. Then someone shouts, "La Statua!" The statue. People rush topside, push, shove, desperate to see, and there she stands, liberty, taller than imagination, grander than dreams. Maria falls to her knees. Others join her. Prayers in every language rise like incense. They made it. They survived. America. But America isn't ready to welcome them yet. First comes Ellis Island, the island of tears, some call it. The island of hope, say others. Both are right. They herd the steerage passengers like cattle. First class and second class already left the ship. They walk down gangplanks into America. Steerage waits, always waits. Then onto ferries, to the island, to judgment. The great hall overwhelms, bigger than any church in the old country. Noise bounces off the ceiling. Thousands of voices, dozens of languages, children crying, officials shouting, chalk clicking on shoulders, the sound of dreams being sorted. The medical exam takes 6 seconds. 6 seconds to determine a life. Doctors watch immigrants climb the stairs, looking for limps, for wheeze, for weakness. At the top, the eye exam. Buttons, hooks, flip eyelids. Looking for trachoma. Find it, chalkmark X on your back. Deportation. Show your hands. The doctor speaks English. Maria doesn't understand. He grabs her hands, turns them over, looking for deformities, for signs of work. Rough hands good, soft hands suspicious. Who comes to America without calluses? Criminals. Anarchists. Troublemakers. The questions come rapid fire through translators. Name. Where from? Who's meeting you? How much money? Show it. $25 required. Maria has 18, the translator whispers. Slip him $2. He'll say 20. She does. She passes. But passing Ellis Island is just the beginning. The ferry to Manhattan, the confusion, the noise. Where is Mulberry Street? Where is this cousin? A man speaking Italian offers to help, leads them to 5 points, takes their remaining money as guide fee, disappears. The tenement rises 5 stories, dark as a cave. The stairs sag. The smell hits like a slap. Garbage, sewage, humanity packed too tight. They find the cousin. She lives in 2 rooms with her husband and 5 children. Now add Maria and 2 more, 9 people, 300 square feet. Welcome to America. The rooms have no windows to the outside. Air comes through a shaft in the middle of the building, if you can call it air. Mostly it's the smell from below, from the privies in the courtyard, from the garbage, from the dreams rotting in the heat. But the neighbourhood lives. Little Italy explodes with life. Pushcarts crowd the streets. Vendors shout in familiar accents. The smell of garlic and tomatoes fights the tenement stench. On feast days, statues of saints parade through streets. Bands play. People forget for a moment that this isn't home. 10 blocks away, Chinatown hides different dreams. The Chinese Exclusion Act keeps families apart. Men live 20 to a room. Send money home to wives they'll never see again. Opium dens offer escape. Tong wars offer excitement. White tourists come to gawk. See the mysterious Orient. Right here in Manhattan. Every immigrant neighbourhood develops its own rules, its own protection. Irish cops ignore Italian crimes. Italian cops ignore Jewish crimes. Jewish cops. There aren't many Jewish cops yet. Each group protects its own. Has to. The greater law doesn't care about tenement justice. And always the fear. Immigration agents raid factories, check papers, find reasons to deport. Anarchist, gone. Criminal, gone. Public charge, gone. Get sick, lose your job, end up on the street, gone. America wants your labour, not your problems. Maria finds work in a garment factory. 12 hours a day, $6 a week. Her children go to school, learn English, learn to be ashamed of their mother's accent, of her old country ways. The cousin's husband drinks, beats his wife. The walls are thin. Everyone hears. No one interferes. Privacy is another luxury immigrants can't afford. At night, Maria writes letters home, lies mostly. Yes, America is wonderful. Yes, we have enough food. Yes, the streets aren't paved with gold, but the opportunities are endless. Don't mention the rats, the disease, the fear. Let them keep their dreams. Reality is too expensive to ship across the ocean. This is the other Ellis Island story. After the tears of joy come tears of truth. After Lady Liberty comes the tenement darkness. After the golden door comes the sweatshop floor. But still they come. Still they hope. Because even this, even the worst America offers, beats starvation in Sicily, beats pogroms in Russia, beats poverty in Poland. The dream might be tarnished, but it's still a dream. And dreams, in 1900, are all most immigrants can afford. The dream might be tarnished, but it's still a dream. And dreams, in 1900, are all most immigrants can afford. But some dreams turn into demands. Some demands turn into strikes, and some strikes turn into blood. July 1877. The Baltimore and Ohio Railroad cuts wages. Again, 10% this time, 20% since 1873. A brakeman now earns $1.75 for a 12-hour day. Risk your life coupling cars for less than a factory worker makes. The men in Martinsburg, West Virginia say no. They block the tracks, stop the trains, the great strike begins. The strike spreads like fire in dry grass. Maryland, Pennsylvania, New York, Ohio, Illinois, Missouri. 100,000 workers walk off. Not just railroad men, factory workers, miners, dock workers. The first national strike. America has never seen anything like this. The owners panic. The government panics. The workers feel something new. Power. In Pittsburgh, the local militia refuses to fire on strikers. They know these men, drink with them, live next to them. How can they shoot their neighbors? The governor calls in Philadelphia troops, strangers with guns. That changes everything. The Philadelphia soldiers arrive, form lines, fix bayonets. The crowd throws rocks. Someone fires. Maybe a soldier, maybe a striker. Doesn't matter. The soldiers open fire. 20 strikers fall, dead and dying. Men who just wanted a living wage bleed out on Pittsburgh streets. The crowd explodes. Thousands storm the rail yards, set fires, destroy engines, burn buildings. The soldiers retreat to a roundhouse. The mob surrounds them, sets it on fire. The soldiers flee. Pittsburgh burns for 2 days. 2,000 rail cars destroyed. The Union Depot in ashes. Class war isn't a metaphor anymore. President Hayes sends federal troops. First time since the Civil War. Soldiers who fought to free slaves now break strikes. They retake city after city. The strike collapses. The workers return. Poorer, angrier, wiser. The lesson is clear. The government stands with owners. Always. But the anger doesn't die. It waits, grows, explodes again in Chicago 1886, May Day. Workers march for the 8-hour day. Radical idea, work 8 hours, sleep 8 hours. 8 hours for what you will. Freedom, dignity, time to be human. The Chicago police break up strikes at the McCormick plant. Kill 2 workers. A protest meeting is called. Haymarket Square, May 4th. 3,000 gather. Peaceful. Speeches about justice, about rights. The mayor watches, leaves. No trouble here. Then police arrive. 175 strong, order the crowd to disperse. Someone throws a bomb. 7 policemen die. The police fire wildly into the crowd. How many workers die? No one counts workers. The bomb changes everything. Who threw it? No one knows. Doesn't matter. 8 anarchists arrested. Not for throwing the bomb, for their ideas, for their speeches, for being anarchists. The trial is a joke. No evidence they threw the bomb. Doesn't matter. The jury wants blood. 7 sentenced to hang, 1 to prison. 4 hang on November 11th, 1887. August spies shouts from the scaffold. The day will come when our silence will be more powerful than the voices you are throttling today. He's right. The Haymarket martyrs become symbols. But symbols don't feed families. The 8-hour day remains a dream. The owners learn from strikes. They hire private armies. The Pinkerton Detective Agency started to catch train robbers. Now they break strikes. 300,000 Pinkertons, more than the US Army. They infiltrate unions, identify leaders, create blacklists. No union man works anywhere, ever. The Pinkertons do more than spy. They fight, armed with rifles and clubs, licensed to kill. When workers strike, Pinkertons arrive. not to keep peace, to break heads, to break spirits, to break strikes. The law looks away. Private property needs protection. Workers aren't property, they're problems. But some workers organize smarter. Samuel Gompers builds the American Federation of Labor. No grand visions, no revolution, just pure and simple unionism. Higher wages, shorter hours, better conditions. Don't challenge the system, work within it. Skilled workers only, let the unskilled fend for themselves. Gompers is practical. Maybe too practical. The AFL grows, but slowly, carefully. No strikes without strike funds. No politics, just bargaining. It works. For some. Skilled workers get raises, get respect. The unskilled still starve, still die, still dream of something more. Then comes Homestead. 1892. Carnegie steel mill. The union has power here. Skilled workers, good wages, respect. Henry Clay Frick manages the mill, hates unions, wants them gone. He cuts wages, demands longer hours, knows they'll strike, wants them to strike. He's ready. Frick builds a fence, 3 miles long, 15 feet high, 3 inches thick, topped with barbed wire. Gun ports every 25 feet. Fort Frick, workers call it. They're not wrong. He hires 300 Pinkertons, ships them on barges. Middle of the night, secret invasion. July 6, 1892. 4 a.m. The barges approach. Workers wait on shore. Someone fires. Both sides claim the other shot first. Doesn't matter. War begins. Workers have rifles. Pinkertons have rifles. 13 hours of gunfire. Workers pour oil on the water. Try to burn the barges. Roll a burning railcar toward them. The Pinkertons surrender. Wave white flags. Workers guarantee safe passage. The crowd has other ideas. Gauntlet of fury. Women beat Pinkertons with umbrellas. Men with clubs. The deputies barely escape alive. Victory for workers. For a moment. The governor sends 8,000 militia. The mill reopens with scab workers. Strike leaders charged with murder. The union breaks. Frick wins. Carnegie stays in Scotland. Claims he knew nothing. The libraries he builds never mention Homestead. Some gifts come with blood attached. By 1900, the pattern is set. Workers strike. Owners hire armies. Government sends troops. Workers lose. Some die. All suffer. The dream of dignity through labour meets the reality of capital's power. But the strikes continue. The blood continues. Because what choice do workers have? Submit and starve slowly. Fight and maybe die quickly. But maybe, just maybe, win something. $1 more. An hour less. A moment of dignity in lives ground down to nothing. The blood on the ground at Homestead waters seeds that will grow. Later, when enough blood has been spilled. When enough dreams have been broken. When enough workers say enough. The blood on the ground at Homestead waters seeds that will grow. Later, when enough blood has been spilled. When enough dreams have been broken. When enough workers say enough. But while workers bleed, cities rise. Not outward anymore. Upward. Toward heaven or away from hell. Depends on your floor. October 1871. Chicago burns. Mrs. O'Leary's cow gets the blame. Truth is, the whole city was kindling. Wood buildings, wood sidewalks, wood everything, hot summer, dry fall, 1 spark, 3 days of fire, 300 dead, 100,000 homeless. The heart of Chicago turns to ash. But ash makes fertile ground. The fire clears away the old Chicago, the small Chicago, the wooden Chicago. What grows in its place will change the world. The city becomes a laboratory, an architect's dream, a blank canvas for ambition. Louis Sullivan arrives in Chicago in 1873, sees opportunity in empty lots. But Chicago has a problem. The ground is soft, swampy, can't support heavy buildings, can't grow outward fast enough. Land costs soar. The answer must be up. But how do you build up on mud? Sullivan and others develop the solution. Steel frames, not stone walls holding weight, steel skeletons. Walls become curtains, hanging, not bearing. The frame carries everything, like a body. Bones of steel, skin of stone. Revolutionary. Now buildings can rise, 10 stories, 15, 20, the sky's the limit, literally. But height creates problems. Who climbs 20 flights of stairs? The rich won't. The solution already exists. Elisha Otis invented the safety elevator in 1853, a spring mechanism. If the cable breaks, the elevator stops. safe, in theory. Tell that to the first riders. The first elevator in Chicago's home insurance building. 1885, 10 stories tall. People gather to watch, to ride, to scream. The cage rises, slowly. Cables creak. Passengers grip the walls. Some pray, some faint. The operator smiles, gets paid extra for calm. At the 10th floor, views no one has seen. Chicago spread like a map. Lake Michigan endless. For a moment, humans fly. The elevator changes everything. Now the top floor is premium, the penthouse. Rich rise above smoke and noise. Poor stay at street level, or below. Social hierarchy goes vertical. The American dream needs an elevator now. Sullivan designs the Wainwright Building in St. Louis. 1891, 10 stories of red brick and terracotta. But it's not just tall, it's beautiful. Sullivan says form follows function. The building should look like what it is. A tall building should celebrate height. Vertical lines, soaring windows. No pretending to be a Greek temple. Be what you are. American, modern, tall. The Wainwright changes architecture. Suddenly every city wants skyscrapers. New York, Chicago, Buffalo, Detroit. The race is on. Who builds tallest? Who builds most? Steel mills can't keep up. Neither can workers. Listen to a skyscraper being born. Riveting guns firing like machine guns. Steel beams swinging through air. Workers shouting in a dozen languages. The new immigrants build the new cities. Irish set foundations. Italians lay brick. Jews do electrical. Poles work steel. Each group claims its trade, its territory, its piece of the vertical dream. The steel workers are the princes of construction. Walking beams hundreds of feet up. No safety nets, no harnesses, just balance and nerve. They heat rivets in forges, toss them through air, catch them in buckets. Drive them hot. One slip means death. They make $4 a day. Good money, if you live to spend it. At night, the new buildings glow. Electric lights. Edison's invention spreading. Gas lamps disappear. Streets get brighter. Broadway in New York becomes the Great White Way. Millions of bulbs, turning night to noon. Theatre marquees. Restaurant signs. Department stores. Light becomes advertisement. Advertisement becomes art. But electricity costs. Only rich buildings glow all night. Poor neighborhoods stay dark, or worse, half-lit. Electric lines run overhead, tangle like spider webs, fall in storms, electrocute horses, start fires. Progress has a price. The poor pay most of it. By 1900, the skyscraper is America's gift to the world. No European city builds like this. They have history to preserve, cathedrals to respect. America has only ambition, only the future. Build higher, build faster, build more. The Flatiron Building rises in New York. 1902, 22 stories, shaped like a triangle, an iron. People bet it will fall. Wind will topple it. Can't be safe. But it stands. Defiant. Beautiful. Impossible made real. This is the new American dream. Not land spreading horizontal, but buildings reaching vertical. Not farms, but offices. Not soil, but steel. The frontier is closed, but the sky is open, and Americans always need a frontier, even if they have to build it. One steel beam at a time. One elevator ride at a time. One electric light at a time. The cities rise. The workers build them. The rich inhabit them. The poor service them, and everyone rich and poor looks up and wonders, how high can we go? How high before we fall? In America in 1900, no one wants to know the answer. They just want to keep building. Up and up and up. Away from the blood on the ground. Toward the money in the sky. They just want to keep building. Up and up and up. Away from the blood on the ground. Toward the money in the sky. But someone has to show what's happening on the ground. In the shadows of the towers, where the other half lives and dies. Jacob Riis knows these shadows. A Danish immigrant, a police reporter. He covers the night beat, sees what daylight hides, tenements packed like coffins, children sleeping in streets, the poor dying in darkness while skyscrapers rise in light. Words aren't enough. He needs to show America, make them see, make them smell, make them care. Riis discovers flash photography. Magnesium powder explodes, lights up darkness for an instant. Dangerous. The powder burns, sometimes explodes too soon, but it works. Now he can capture the night, the hidden city, the other half. He doesn't go alone. Too dangerous. Takes police guides, health inspectors, sometimes other reporters. They enter the tenements at midnight, When the poor are home, when the truth can't hide, the flash explodes, blinds everyone, captures everything. Then darkness returns, but the image remains, evidence. Bandits' Roost, Mulberry Bend, the worst block in New York. Maybe America. 59 buildings, 4,000 people, every room a crime scene, every alley a danger. The police won't enter alone, neither will Reese. But he must show this. America must see. The photograph captures it. An alley barely 3 feet wide, men lounging, watching, waiting. Laundry hangs overhead, blocks what little light exists. Trash piles everywhere. The faces stare at the camera. Hard faces, desperate faces, American faces. This is Bandits' Roost, where hope goes to die. But it's not the criminals that shock. It's the children. Reese finds them everywhere. Sleeping in alleys, using newspapers for blankets, feet wrapped in rags. 3 boys huddle over a steam grate. The only warmth they'll find tonight. The flash wakes them. They run, think it's police. Come back when Reese calls, pose for pennies, then back to the grate, back to survival. The lodging houses are worse, 5 cents a night. For what? A plank, sometimes a hammock, hundreds of men in one room. No air, no light. The smell hits like a physical blow. Sweat, urine, decay. Reese gags. The flash reveals bodies packed like cargo, like the steerage ships that brought them. America was supposed to be different. Disease loves these conditions. Cholera arrives in 1892, starts in the tenements, spreads everywhere. Rich think they're safe. Wrong. Their maids live in tenements. They're cooks. They're drivers. Disease doesn't check addresses. The rich child dies as fast as the poor. Finally they care, not about the poor, about themselves. But caring is caring. Reese publishes his photographs. How the Other Half Lives. 1890. America is shocked. The pictures are undeniable. The statistics worse. 12 adults in a room 13 feet square. Infant mortality at 136 per 1,000. 10-year-olds working 14-hour days. The other half isn't living. It's dying, slowly, in plain sight. The book changes things. Not enough, never enough, but some. Building codes tighten, a few. Health inspections increase. Sometimes. The worst tenements get demolished. Eventually. Progress comes in drops. The poor need floods. Jane Addams reads Reese's book in Chicago. Comfortable life, college educated, could marry well, live well, die well. Instead, she goes to the slums, opens Hull House, 1889, a settlement house, where rich women help poor women, where immigrants learn English, where children find safety. It's revolutionary. Middle-class women entering slums, not to gawk, to help. They live there, in the neighbourhood, smell the same smells, hear the same sounds, share the same dangers. Almost. They can always leave. The poor can't, but they stay. They help. It matters. Hull House offers everything. English classes, citizenship classes, childcare, medical help, art classes, music lessons, a library, a gym, hope, dignity, proof that someone cares. The model spreads. Settlement houses open everywhere. Small lights in great darkness. But Reese knows the truth. Charity isn't enough. The tenements must go. The system must change. He keeps taking pictures, keeps writing, shows Bottle Alley, where babies drink beer because water kills, shows Gotham Court, where 146 families share one water tap, shows The Bend, where sunlight never reaches ground level. The smell of poverty. That's what readers remember. Reese describes it, makes them taste it. Rotting garbage, overflowing privies, unwashed bodies, dead rats, dying hopes. The rich hold perfumed handkerchiefs to their noses. Doesn't help. The smell is in the photographs, in the words, in the conscience. By 1900, some things change. The worst tenements full. New laws require air shafts, windows, fire escapes. Not enough. Never enough. But better. The other half still lives in shadows. Still dies too young. Still dreams of something more. But now America knows. Can't pretend ignorance. Reese made sure of that. One flash at a time. One photograph at a time. One gag at a time. The other half lives. Barely. But visible now, thanks to a Danish immigrant who wouldn't let America look away. The other half lives. Barely. But visible now, thanks to a Danish immigrant who wouldn't let America look away. But the other half of that half? They look away just fine. From their windows 30 feet tall, from their ballrooms built for hundreds, from their cottages bigger than hotels. William Vanderbilt needs a house, not just any house, the biggest, the best, the most, 5th Avenue and 51st Street, where everyone must see, where everyone must envy. 1882, 3 years to build, 600 workers, $3 million for one family. Walk through the bronze doors, if you're invited. Most aren't. The entrance hall soars 40 feet. Marble from Italy, tapestries from France, paintings worth more than tenements, a fireplace you could roast an ox in. Do they? No, it's just for show. Everything's for show. 130 rooms, count them. Ballroom, dining room, breakfast room, drawing room, smoking room. Japanese room, Moorish room. Rooms for every mood, every whim, every way to waste money. The basement has bowling alleys. The attic has servants' quarters, 50 of them. Cramped, hot, hidden. The help must stay invisible. But even Vanderbilt's palace isn't enough for some. Caroline Astor rules New York society. The Mrs. Astor. No first name needed. Everyone knows which Astor. Her ballroom holds exactly 400 people. Why 400? Because that's how many matter in New York. The 400. If you're not on her list, you don't exist. Her parties are military operations. 100 servants prepare for days. Polish silver, iron linens, arrange flowers. Cook for 400. Serve 9 courses. Different wine for each. Footmen in livery. Gold braid. Powdered wigs, like European royalty in democratic America. The servants wake at 4 a.m. Work until midnight. $6 a week, if they're lucky. No days off during the season. The season is always. Sleep in the attic, eat in the basement, stay invisible, stay silent, stay grateful. Jobs are scarce. Mouths to feed are many. But Manhattan palaces aren't enough. Summer requires escape to Newport, where ocean breezes cool the rich, where cottages stretch along cliffs. Cottages, that's what they call them. 70 rooms is a cottage, if you're rich enough. The Breakers, Cornelius Vanderbilt's cottage, 70 rooms, 50 servants, bathtubs carved from single blocks of marble, faucets of gold, not gold-plated, solid gold, hot and cold running water, salt water, and fresh, while tenement dwellers share one tap for 100 families. Marble House, Alva Vanderbilt's cottage, modelled on Versailles, because American democracy needs its own Sun King, or Queen. 50 servants just for summer, brought from New York, housed in town. Can't have servants cluttering the view of the ocean, of infinity, of everything the poor will never see. The parties escalate, each must top the last. Costume balls, Roman feasts, medieval tournaments, horses in the ballroom, monkeys as guests, champagne fountains, not bottles, fountains, while children drink beer in tenements, because water isn't safe. Then comes February 10th, 1897, the Bradley Martin Ball. The economy's depressed, thousands unemployed, breadlines everywhere, perfect time for a party. The Waldorf Astoria transformed into Versailles. Again, the rich love Versailles. 6,000 orchids, thousands of roses, carpets of flowers, cost $370,000 in 1897 money. Guests dress as royalty, real jewels, real gold, real ignorance. Mrs. Bradley Martin wears Marie Antoinette's actual necklace, the one that started a revolution. The irony's lost. The newspapers aren't amused, neither are the poor. Police guard the hotel, fear of bombs, of riots, of reality intruding. The ball succeeds, sort of. The rich dance, drink, pretend. But the newspapers crucify them. The clergy condemn them. The poor hate them more. The Bradley Martins flee to Europe. Permanently. The party was too much, even for the Gilded Age. But the palaces remain. The cottages still gleam. The servants still serve. The rich still look away from their windows, from their ballrooms, from the truth. That every marble bathtub represents 100 families without water. Every golden faucet, 1,000 children without food. Every party, a mockery of democracy. This is the genius of the Gilded Age. The rich don't hide their wealth. They flaunt it. Build monuments to it. Live in it. Dance in it. Die in it. And somehow convince everyone this is natural. This is right. This is American. A few live like gods, most live like animals, and everyone pretends this makes sense. The palaces still stand. Museums now. Tourists gawk, take pictures, marvel at the excess, the waste, the beauty, the ugliness. They see the marble, the gold, the paintings. They don't see the servants, the workers, the poor, still invisible, still forgotten. The Gilded Age perfected that trick, making most of America disappear, behind the glitter, behind the gold, behind the palace walls that still stand. Empty now, but still blocking the view. The palaces still stand. Empty now, but still blocking the view. And while the rich build palaces, someone has to run the city. Someone has to collect the taxes, award the contracts, count the votes. In New York, that someone is William McGeer Tweed, Boss Tweed, the man who turned democracy into a business, a very profitable business. Tammany Hall sits on 14th Street. Just a building, but more than a building. It's the Democratic Party headquarters, the real government of New York, where deals are made, where votes are bought, where democracy goes to die, or get reborn. Depends who's paying. Tweed doesn't look like a boss, weighs 300 pounds, laughs too loud, dresses like a circus ringmaster, diamond stickpin the size of a walnut. But behind the jolly fat man act, a mind that counts everything, votes, dollars, enemies, friends. In New York, they're all for sale. Here's how it works. New York needs a courthouse. Fine. Tweed's men design it. Tweed's men build it. Tweed's men supply materials. Tweed's men inspect it. Tweed's men approve payments. Every man is Tweed's. Every dollar passes through Tweed's hands. Some dollars stick. The courthouse budget? $3 million. The actual cost? $13 million. Where does $10 million go? Everywhere. Contractors submit bills. Real work cost $1,000. Bill says $10,000. Tweed approves. Contractor gets 10, kicks back 5 to Tweed. Everyone happy, except taxpayers. But they don't know, yet. The numbers are insane. Carpets cost $350,000. Today that's millions. Chairs cost $180,000. Brooms and buckets cost $41,000. Brooms and buckets. A plasterer makes $138,000 in 2 days. Must be some plasterer, must be some plaster. Made of gold dust, maybe. But construction is just one scam. The real money is in votes. Democracy is beautiful when you own it. Tammany controls the polls, controls the count, controls the result. Before the election, if possible. During the election, if necessary. After the election, if needed. Election day is a festival of fraud. Men vote early, vote often, vote in multiple districts. Dead men vote. Most reliable voters, the dead. Never complain, never change their minds. Always vote Tammany. Remarkable loyalty from corpses. Naturalization is another gold mine. Immigrants need citizenship to vote. Judges grant citizenship. Tweed owns judges. One judge naturalizes 800 people in one day. 800. Takes 2 minutes each. Must be speed reading those oaths, or not reading them at all. The poor love Tweed. He helps them. Gives coal in winter, food at Christmas, jobs all year, city jobs. 3 men to dig a hole, 3 more to watch, 3 more to supervise. All vote Tammany, all grateful to Boss Tweed. Robin Hood in a diamond stickpin. But someone's watching. Thomas Nast. German immigrant. Cartoonist for Harper's Weekly. Can't be bought. Tweed tries. Offers $500,000. Nast refuses. Keeps drawing. Pictures of Tweed as a money bag with legs. Pictures of Tammany as a tiger eating the city. Pictures everyone understands, even those who can't read. The pictures hurt. More than investigations, more than editorials. The poor can't read investigations, don't trust newspapers, but they see Nast's cartoons, see Tweed getting fat while they starve, see their votes being stolen, see the truth in simple lines. Tweed knows it. Stop them damned pictures, he screams. I don't care what the papers write, my constituents can't read, but they can see pictures. He's right, the pictures are killing him. One cartoon at a time. The New York Times joins the attack, gets leaked documents, the secret accounts, the real numbers, publishes everything day after day, the $10 million courthouse, the fake vouchers, the kickbacks, all there in black and white, for those who can read. The combination is deadly. Nast's pictures for the masses, the Times facts for the classes, Reform candidates win. Investigations begin. The rats flee the sinking ship. Tweed's men turn on him. Save themselves. Blame the boss. Democracy in action. Tweed runs to New Jersey, to Florida, to Spain. But he's too fat, too famous. That face Nastrew millions of times. Everyone knows it. Spanish police arrest him. How do they recognize him? From Nast's cartoons. The pictures win. Tweed dies in prison, 1878. The Ludlow Street jail. Ironic. He built it. With stolen money. Now it holds him, holds his body. His empire is gone. Tammany survives. Reforms itself. Meaning new bosses. Subtler theft. Better accounting. But the lesson is learned. By politicians. By reformers. By everyone. Democracy is for sale. In New York, in America, everywhere. The only question is the price, and whether someone's watching, whether someone's drawing, whether someone cares enough to stop the damned pictures, or create them. Democracy is for sale. In New York, in America, everywhere. The only question is the price, and whether someone's watching, whether someone's drawing, whether someone cares enough to stop the damned pictures, or create them. But what about the men at the top, the presidents? Surely they stand above the muck. Surely they lead. Surely someone remembers them. Walk through the portrait gallery of Gilded Age presidents. Notice something. They all have beards. Everyone from Grant through Harrison. Like they're hiding. Behind hair. Behind forgettable faces. Behind forgettable names. Quick, name the 19th president, the 21st, the 23rd. Time's up. Nobody remembers. Not even then. Rutherford B. Hayes. The 19th wins by 1 electoral vote. After a deal, a corrupt bargain. Republicans get the White House. Democrats get the South. Federal troops leave. Reconstruction dies. Black voters abandoned. Democracy for sale indeed. Hayes serves 1 term. Doesn't drink. Holds hymn sings. His wife bans alcohol from the White House. Lemonade Lucy, they call her. The most interesting thing about his presidency. James Garfield. The 20th. Smart man. Could write Latin with one hand, Greek with the other. Simultaneously. Parlor trick. Not much use in the White House. President for 200 days. Shot after 120 by Charles Guiteau. Why? Guiteau wanted a job. Ambassador to France. Didn't get it. So he shoots the president at the train station. I am a stalwart, he shouts. Political faction. As if that explains murder. The doctors kill Garfield more than the bullet. Dig for it with unwashed fingers. Turn a survival wound into blood poisoning. 80 days of agony. The president wastes away. Die September 19 Guiteau hanks. But the spoil system lives. The system that says jobs go to supporters. That makes every federal job a political prize. That makes disappointed office seekers into assassins. Chester Arthur takes over, the ultimate hack. Collector of the Port of New York. The most corrupt job in America. Kickbacks, bribes, phantom employees. Arthur ran it all. Now he's president. Everyone expects the worst. More corruption, more spoils, more of the same. But something strange happens. Arthur changes. The hack becomes a reformer. Maybe it's guilt over Garfield. Maybe it's the office. Maybe it's his secret. He's dying. Bright's disease. Kidneys failing. Nobody knows. But he knows. Time is short. Legacy matters. Arthur pushes the Pendleton Act. Civil service reform. Some federal jobs filled by merit. By exam, not by politics. Not by who you know. By what you know. Revolutionary. The spoils system wounded. Not dead. Never dead. But wounded. Arthur does more. Prosecutes mail fraud. Vetoes pork barrel bills. The hack becomes honest. Too late. His party abandons him. Disease kills him. 86 forgotten already. Grover Cleveland, the 22nd president, and the 24th. Only president to serve 2 non-consecutive terms. Why? Because Benjamin Harrison interrupts, the 23rd. Grandson of a president. Personality of a fish. Cold fish. The human iceberg, they call him. Serves 4 years between Cleveland's terms. Does nothing memorable. Perfect Gilded Age president. But Cleveland is different. Sort of. A reformer. Sort of. Honest. Mostly. Fat. Definitely. 300 pounds of principled stubbornness. Vetoes hundreds of bills. Private pension bills. For Civil War veterans. Real and fake. Mostly fake. Everyone's a veteran when there's money involved. Cleveland fights the tariff. Fights the silver movement. Fights his own party. Fights everyone. Wins some. loses more, but fights. The only Gilded Age president anyone remembers. Because he fights, and because of the scandal, the illegitimate child, the campaign chant, Ma, where's my pa, gone to the White House, ha ha ha, he admits it, supports the child, honesty in politics. Shocking! The Pendleton Act slowly changes things. Federal jobs require exams, knowledge matters. Sometimes, political connections still matter more, but now there's a form to fill out. Progress. The spoils system adapts, finds new ways, always finds new ways. But it's harder, a little harder. That's something. These presidents preside over America's transformation, from rural to urban, from agricultural to industrial, from weak to powerful. But they don't lead it. They barely manage it. They're caretakers, placeholders, bearded non-entities, while the real power lies elsewhere, in boardrooms, in banks, in boss-controlled cities. Why so forgettable? Because the office is weak, Congress is strong, business is stronger, presidents can't do much, don't try much. Why rock the boat? Why challenge the system? Why be remembered? Better to serve quietly, collect your pension, write memoirs no one reads, die peacefully, be forgotten immediately. The Gilded Age needs forgettable presidents. Strong presidents ask questions, challenge power, make waves. Bad for business, bad for bosses, bad for everyone who profits from the status quo. So democracy gives us beards, honest beards, reformed beards, bearded beards, but still just beards. Hiding faces no one remembers, making decisions no one recalls, leading nowhere in particular. The perfect presidents for an age that gilds its rot, that prefers appearance to substance, that likes its democracy bought and paid for, and its presidents forgotten before they're gone. The perfect presidents for an age that gilds its rot, that prefers appearance to substance, that likes its democracy bought and paid for, and its presidents forgotten before they're gone. But out in the fields, far from Washington's beards and New York's bosses, farmers remember. Remember when they owned their land free and clear. Remember when their vote mattered. Remember when America was theirs, and they want it back. The numbers tell the story. 1865, wheat brings $2 a bushel. 1895, 50 cents. Costs the same to grow. Railroad charges the same to ship. Bank charges more to borrow. Do the math. Can't be done. Farmers drown in red ink while railroads swim in gold. Here's how the trap works. Farmer needs seed, borrows from bank, needs to ship crop. Only one railroad. Charges what it wants. Crop prices fall. Still owe the bank. Borrow more, plant more, prices fall more. More crops mean lower prices. Lower prices mean more debt. More debt means plant more. The spiral tightens. The farm disappears. The bank owns it now. The Grange starts innocent. 1867. Social club for farmers, lectures, picnics, dances, anything to break the loneliness of farm life. But at meetings, farmers talk, compare notes, same story everywhere. High railroad rates, high interest, low crop prices. Maybe talking isn't enough. Maybe dancing won't solve this. Maybe it's time to fight. By 1875, the Grange has 800,000 members. They elect legislators, pass Granger laws, regulate railroad rates, set maximum charges. The railroads sue, say it's unconstitutional, private property, free enterprise. The Supreme Court sides with farmers. At first, Munvey, Illinois, states can regulate. Victory. Brief victory. Later courts reverse. But the seed is planted. Farmers can fight back. Together. The Grange fades, but the anger grows. New organizations, the Farmers' Alliance, the People's Party, the Populists, different names, same fury, same demands, free silver, government ownership of railroads, direct election of senators, income tax on the rich, radical ideas, dangerous ideas, American ideas. Mary Elizabeth Lease leads the charge in Kansas. A woman, Irish, widow, lawyer. Everything that shouldn't have power, but she can speak. Lord, can she speak? Wall Street owns the country, she thunders. It is no longer a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It is a government of Wall Street by Wall Street and for Wall Street. They say she told farmers to raise less corn and more hell. She denies it. But the phrase sticks, becomes the battle cry. Raise less corn and more hell. Stop feeding the system that starves you. Start fighting the powers that rob you. The message spreads. Prairie fire of anger. The populists nominate James Weaver for president. He wins 1 million votes. 4 states, not enough, but enough to scare the establishment. The farmers are organizing, the debtors are voting, the system shakes. A little. Then comes 1896. The Democrats steal populist thunder, nominate William Jennings Bryan, young, charismatic, voice like an organ. The convention in Chicago, hot July. Bryan speaks last. The Cross of Gold speech. The moment everything changes, and nothing changes. You shall not press down upon the brow of labour this crown of thorns, Bryan roars. You shall not crucify mankind upon a cross of gold. The hall explodes. Delegates weep, scream, faint. Democracy feels alive. For a moment. The people have a champion. The farmers have hope. The poor have a voice. But the establishment has money. Mark Hanna runs William McKinley's campaign, raises millions, from banks, from railroads, from everyone who fears Bryan. They paint him as a radical, an anarchist, a threat to civilization. Newspapers owned by the rich attack daily. Cartoons show Bryan as a devil, a destroyer, a fool. The money works. McKinley wins, stays on his front porch in Ohio, never campaigns, doesn't need to. Money campaigns for him. Bryan travels 18,000 miles, makes 600 speeches, reaches millions. But Hanna spends millions. Guess which millions matter more? The populists die with Bryan's defeat. Their ideas live. Income tax. Becomes law. Direct election of senators. Becomes law. Railroad regulation. Becomes law. Everything they wanted. Eventually. After they're gone. After the moment passes. After the establishment adopts their ideas. Claims them. Tames them. The American way. Let the radicals dream. Let them fight. Let them lose. Then steal their best ideas. Make them safe. Make them profitable. Make them forget who dreamed them first. The farmers go back to their fields, still in debt, still trapped, but different. They fought. They lost. But they fought. The next revolt will come. From factories. From mines. From cities. Different fighters. Same fight. The people against the money. The many against the few. The eternal American struggle. Sometimes the people win. Usually the money wins. But the fight continues. Has to continue. That's what democracy means. Even when it's for sale. Especially when it's for sale. Someone has to bid for the people. Even if they always get outbid. Someone has to bid for the people. Even if they always get outbid. But while farmers fight for fair prices and workers fight for fair wages, one man fights only with nature. With darkness. With the limits of what's possible. Thomas Edison doesn't care about politics. Doesn't care about reform. He cares about the next invention. The next patent. The next way to turn ideas into gold. Menlo Park, New Jersey. 1876. Looks like nothing. A few wooden buildings. A railway stop. Mud roads. But inside those buildings the future is being born. Edison calls it his invention factory. Others call it Wizard's workshop. Both are right. Magic happens here. Profitable magic. Edison isn't really a scientist. Barely educated, partially deaf. But he understands something others don't. Invention isn't inspiration. It's perspiration. It's trying everything, failing everything, until something works, then selling it. Fast. Before someone else does. The light bulb obsesses him. Not the first to try. Others made bulbs that burn. For minutes, maybe hours. Then darkness returns. Edison wants bulbs that last, that people will buy, again and again. The problem is the filament. What material can glow without burning, without melting, without dying? He tries everything. Platinum, too expensive. Carbon, burns too fast. Hair, cotton, silk, bamboo. His assistants test thousands of materials. 10,000 experiments, Edison claims. Probably exaggerating, but not by much. Failure after failure. The money runs out. Investors panic. Edison keeps trying. October 21st, 1879. A carbonized cotton thread glows and glows and glows. 40 hours, not forever, but long enough to sell, long enough to change the world. Edison announces his success. The world pays attention. Gas company stocks crash. The future is electric. But a bulb alone is useless. Needs electricity, needs wires, needs a system. Edison thinks big, not just bulbs. Power stations, generators, meters, an entire electrical world, direct current, DC, his system, his patents, his profits. Then comes competition. George Westinghouse, Nikola Tesla. They push alternating current, AC. It travels farther, costs less, works better. Edison hates it, hates them. The war of currents begins, not with weapons, with propaganda, with fear, with showmanship. Edison claims AC kills, stages demonstrations, electrocutes dogs, cats, horses, and elephant. Poor Topsy, killed to prove a point. The point is profit. Edison's direct current is safer, he says, while killing animals with alternating current. The irony is lost on him, or ignored. The ultimate demonstration needs a human subject. 1890, New York seeks a humane execution method, more civilized than hanging. Edison has a suggestion, electrocution. With alternating current, of course. Prove how deadly his competitor's system is. Every execution and advertisement against AC. William Kemmler, convicted murderer. First to die in the electric chair. August 6, 1890. It goes badly. Very badly. First shock doesn't kill. Kemmler moans, bleeds, smells of burning flesh. Second shock, 8 minutes total. Witnesses vomit, faint. They could have done better with an axe, one says. Humane it isn't. But Edison makes his point. AC kills, messily. But the market doesn't care about Edison's stunts. AC wins. Westinghouse and Tesla light the Chicago World's Fair. A city of light. Magical. Beautiful. Profitable. Edison's DC system can't compete. Can't reach far enough. Can't power a whole fair. Or a whole city. Edison loses the war. Keeps the patents, still gets rich. There's a lesson there. September 4th, 1882. Before the war is lost, Edison's greatest triumph. Pearl Street Station in Manhattan, the first central power plant, 6 dynamos, each weighing 30 tons, powering 400 bulbs, in 85 buildings. The New York Times building glows, Wall Street glows. The future arrives at the flip of a switch. The rich get electricity first, always the rich first, $1 per bulb, when workers make $2 a day. But the price drops. The system spreads. By 1900, cities glow. Factories run all night. Time itself changes. Night shifts. Evening entertainment. The electric age. Edison becomes myth. The Wizard of Menlo Park. The genius inventor. The American success story. Self-made. Self-taught. Self-promoted. Mostly that last one. He invents the invention factory. But more importantly, he invents the inventor, as celebrity, as brand, as business. The Deaf Boy from Michigan shows America something new. Progress doesn't come from politicians, or reformers, or philosophers. It comes from tinkerers, from men who try 10,000 times, who kill elephants to make a point, who turn night into day, who ask not whether something should be done, only whether it can be done, and how much it will pay. The American way, invention as salvation, technology as democracy. Light bulbs as liberty, Edison's electric dreams, still glowing, still selling, still promising a brighter tomorrow, one patent at a time. Edison's electric dreams, still glowing, still selling, still promising a brighter tomorrow, one patent at a time. But light is only half the battle against distance. The other half is sound, the human voice, trapped in one place since the beginning of time, until Alexander Graham Bell sets it free. March 10th, 1876, a spilled acid battery. Bell's assistant in another room. "Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you." Watson hears it. Not through walls, through wire. The first telephone call. Accident and necessity. The mother of invention. The father of a new world. Bell wasn't trying to invent the telephone. He taught the deaf. His mother was deaf. His wife was deaf. He studied sound to help them. The telephone was a mistake. A glorious mistake. Like many American fortunes, stumbled upon while looking for something else. The early phones are terrible, crackle, static, shouting required. But they work, sort of. Enough to sell, enough to improve. By 1878, the first telephone exchange opens. New Haven, Connecticut. 21 subscribers. The beginning of the network, the web, the trap. Who operates these exchanges? Women, young women, unmarried women. The first respectable corporate job for females. Why women? Their voices are clearer, their manners better, they work cheaper, always that last reason, but it's freedom. of a sort, out of the house into the workplace, wearing headsets, connecting voices, connecting lives. Number, please. Thousands of times a day. Plug in the cable, make the connection, listen for the click, move to the next. The operators know everything. Who calls whom, who argues, who flirts, who owes money, who cheats. The first surveillance network, accidental, human, gossipy. Party lines make it worse, or better. Depends on your view. Multiple families share one line. Pick up the phone, hear your neighbour talking, listen in. Everyone does. Privacy dies, community grows or shrinks. Depends who's listening. Depends what they hear. The telephone changes business. Changes everything. Orders placed instantly. Deals made without meeting. Lies told without facing. The personal becomes impersonal. The distant becomes close. The close becomes distant. Progress has a price. Always a price. But the real revolution is speed. News travels at the speed of sound. Faster than horses. Faster than trains. Faster than thought, almost. A fire in Chicago. New York knows in minutes. A bank fails in San Francisco. Boston knows before lunch. The nation shrinks. The world shrinks. Time itself speeds up. Newspapers feel the change first. The scoop matters more. Minutes matter. Seconds matter. Get the story. Get it first. Get it out. Accuracy? Important. But not as important as speed. Speed sells papers. Papers sell advertisements. Advertisements pay bills. Enter William Randolph Hearst. Rich boy playing newspaper man. Buys the New York Journal, 1895. Wants to beat Joseph Pulitzer's world. The circulation war begins, not with better reporting, with bigger headlines, brighter colours, louder lies. Yellow journalism, they call it, after the Yellow Kid cartoon, but really after the cowardice, the sensationalism, the fake news. Before fake news had a name, crime stories blown up, scandals invented, wars promoted, anything to sell papers. Hearst and Pulitzer compete in outrage. Who can shock more, disgust more, sell more? The telephone feeds the beast. Reporters call in stories. True or false, doesn't matter, just first. Editors rewrite, exaggerate, inflame, print, sell, repeat. The Spanish-American War starts in newspaper offices. Cuba struggling for independence. Hearst sends reporters, tells them to find atrocities. They can't. You furnish the pictures, Hearst cables. I'll furnish the war. He does. Headlines scream. Spain must pay. Remember the Maine. Even before the Maine explodes. The telephone makes it all possible. Instant communication. Instant manipulation. Instant gratification. The news cycle shrinks from days to hours, soon to minutes. The pressure builds. On reporters, on editors, on readers, on truth. By 1900, phones are everywhere. In offices, in rich homes, soon in middle-class homes, party lines for the poor, but connected, all connected. The voice travels, the gossip spreads, the news flies, the lies multiply, privacy dies, community changes, progress marches, on wires, through switches, into ears, into minds. Bell thought he was helping the deaf. Instead, he deafened everyone with noise. Constant noise. Ringing phones. Shouting voices. Breaking news. Yellow headlines. The world shrinks. Gets louder. Gets faster. Gets worse. Gets better. Depends who's calling. Depends who's listening. Depends who's lying. The telephone doesn't care. It just connects. Everything to everything. Everyone to everyone. For better or worse. Till death do us part. Or until the line goes dead. The telephone doesn't care. It just connects. Everything to everything, everyone to everyone, for better or worse, till death do us part, or until the line goes dead. But connection isn't just about voices, it's about bodies, moving bodies, and in the Gilded Age everything starts moving faster, further, upward. The safety bicycle arrives in 1885. 2 wheels the same size, chain drive, brakes that work, revolutionary. Before this, high wheelers, penny farthings, death traps. 1 bump, you fly over the handlebars, break your neck. Men only, too dangerous for ladies, too undignified. But the safety bicycle. Women can ride. Women do ride. In bloomers. Shocking. Ankles showing. More shocking. Moving under their own power. Most shocking of all. Susan B. Anthony calls it the greatest emancipator. She's right. A woman on a bicycle doesn't need a chaperone, doesn't need permission, doesn't need a man, just legs and lungs and liberty. The bicycle craze sweeps America. Bicycle clubs, bicycle races, bicycle courtships. Young people ride together, unchaperoned, society panics, morality doomed, marriage threatened. The usual fears, the bicycle doesn't care, it just rolls, taking women away from parlours, into the world, one pedal stroke at a time. But bicycles are democracy. Automobiles are aristocracy. The first cars appear in the 1890s, toys for millionaires, loud, smelly, unreliable, break down every mile, scare horses, kill chickens, annoy everyone, cost more than houses. Only the rich can afford them. Only the rich want them. At first. The Duryea brothers build the first American gasoline car. 1893. It runs, sometimes, when it feels like it. Maximum speed, 20 miles per hour when going downhill, with wind behind, on good roads, which don't exist, but it moves without horses. That's the miracle. That's the future. That's the problem. Cities are built for horses, for walking, not for machines racing 20 miles per hour. The first automobile laws are restrictive. Speed limits of 5 miles per hour. In cities, must have someone walking ahead, with a red flag, warning pedestrians, defeating the entire purpose. But the rich don't care. They buy cars anyway. Status symbols, conversation pieces, dust makers. Meanwhile, real transportation transforms cities. The Brooklyn Bridge opened May 24, 1883. 14 years to build, 27 men die building it. But it stands, connects Brooklyn to Manhattan, the longest suspension bridge in the world, the eighth wonder, and it is wonderful. Walk across on opening day. 50,000 do, feel it sway, slightly, terrifyingly. But it holds. It holds carriages, pedestrians, even elephants. P.T. Barnum marches 21 elephants across to prove it's safe. If it holds elephants, it holds anything. Brooklyn booms, Manhattan spreads. The bridge makes two cities one. But bridges are dramatic. Streetcars are practical. Electric streetcars, replacing horse-drawn cars. Cleaner, faster, cheaper. Follow the tracks spreading like veins, away from city centres, into empty fields. Developers follow, build houses, create suburbs. Now workers can live miles from work, commute, new word, new concept, new problem. The streetcar suburbs are segregated. By class, by price, by design. Rich suburbs here, middle class there, poor stay in city centres, near factories, near pollution, near each other. Transportation creates separation, progress for some, same slums for others. But the ultimate separator runs vertical. The elevator. We've seen it in skyscrapers. But see what it does to society. Before elevators, rich live on first floors, second floors, poor climb stairs, 5 flights, 6 flights, to attics, to garrets. Height means poverty. The elevator flips everything. Now height means views, means quiet, means status. Penthouses appear, sky parlours, cloud clubs, the rich rise. Literally, the poor stay grounded, in basements now, underground, out of sight. The elevator doesn't judge, it just lifts. But it lifts some higher than others. By 1900, Americans move like never before. On bicycles, in automobiles, across bridges, on streetcars, up elevators, the nation mobilizes, cities spread, society stratifies, vertically, horizontally, every direction. Movement becomes freedom, for those who can afford it. Movement becomes separation, for those who can't. The Gilded Age gilds movement too. Makes it shine, makes it costly, makes it divide. The telephone connects voices. Transportation disconnects lives. Progress is paradox, always paradox, bringing together while pulling apart. The American way, full speed ahead, never mind who gets left behind, or below, or underground. Just keep moving. That's progress. That's the future. That's the elevator going up. Going up, without you, just keep moving. That's progress. That's the future. That's the elevator going up. Going up, without you. And if you can't keep up, if you fall behind, if you stay poor while others get rich, well, science has an answer for that. You're not fit. Simple as that. Nature's law, Darwin proved it, or so they say. Herbert Spencer coins the phrase. Survival of the fittest, not Darwin. Spencer British philosopher, never visited America. But his ideas find fertile soil here, in boardrooms, in mansions, in the minds of men who need to explain why they have so much while others have so little. Here's how it works. Darwin says species evolve, the fit survive, the weak perish, natural selection. Spencer says society works the same way. The rich are rich because they're fit, the poor are poor because they're weak. Social selection, natural law, can't fight nature, shouldn't try. William Graham Sumner teaches this at Yale, America's leading university, training America's leaders. He preaches the gospel of inequality. Millionaires are products of natural selection. They have superior traits, intelligence, drive, character. That's why they're rich. The poor lack these traits. That's why they're poor. Simple, clean, scientific, wrong. But useful. So useful. If poverty is natural, why fix it? If inequality is evolution, why fight it? Government aid interferes with nature. Charity weakens the species. Let the poor die out. Make room for the fit. Harsh? Yes. Natural? They say so. Convenient? Absolutely. John D. Rockefeller loves this idea. Speaks to his Sunday school class. Compares business to nature. The growth of a large business is merely a survival of the fittest, he says. The American beauty rose can be produced in the splendor and fragrance which bring cheer to its beholder only by sacrificing the early buds which grow up around it. Kill the small to feed the large. God's will. Nature's way. Standard Oil's policy. But Andrew Carnegie reads Spencer differently. Yes, the fit survive. Yes, he's fit. But fitness brings duty. The gospel of wealth, remember? The richer trustees must use wealth wisely for society's good. Libraries, universities, concert halls. The fit must lift the weak, not crush them. Still social Darwinism, but softer. Kinder still assumes superiority, but admits obligation. The debate rages in newspapers, in pulpits, in Congress. Is poverty a moral failing or social failing? Are the poor lazy or unlucky? Should government help or let nature work? The answers shape policy, shape lives, shape deaths. No minimum wage, that interferes with natural law, no workplace safety. The careless deserve their accidents. No public health. Disease culls the weak. No public schools? Well, some public schools. Even social Darwinists want educated workers, but not too educated. That's dangerous. The logic extends everywhere. Why are immigrants poor? Inferior stock. Why do workers strike? Unfit for success. Why do women want rights? Against nature. Why do blacks face discrimination? Scientific proof of inferiority. Always science. Always nature. Always convenient explanations for injustice. Scientific racism blooms. Measuring skulls. Comparing brain sizes. Creating hierarchies. Anglo-Saxons on top. Naturally. Everyone else below. In order. Irish better than Italians. Italians better than Jews. Jews better than Chinese. Everyone better than blacks. Science says so. Measurements prove it. Case closed. Madison Grant writes, "The passing of the great race," warns about racial mixing, inferior blood weakening superior stock. Immigration must stop. Segregation must continue. Eugenics must start. Breed better humans, like cattle, like roses, like Rockefeller's metaphor made flesh. But voices protest. Lester Frank Ward, first American sociologist, attacks Spencer. Humans aren't animals. Society isn't nature. We have minds. We make choices. We can cooperate, not just compete. Civilization means rising above nature, not surrendering to it. The poor know the truth. They're not unfit. They're unlucky. Born wrong, born poor, born black, born female, born immigrant. The race is rigged. The fittest had head starts, inherited wealth, inherited connections, inherited skin colour, then claim their victory proves superiority. Natural selection, more like unnatural selection. But the idea persists. Too useful to abandon. Explains too much. Excuses too much. The rich sleep better believing they deserve their wealth. The powerful rule easier believing they deserve their power. Social Darwinism. The perfect philosophy for the Gilded Age. Gilds greed with science, covers cruelty with nature, makes selfishness seem natural, makes compassion seem weak, makes inequality seem inevitable. Darwin studies finches, finds truth about nature. Spencer studies society, finds excuses for injustice. America embraces the excuses, ignores the truth. The fittest survive, but who decides what's fit? In nature, nature decides. In society, the rich decide. Then claim nature agrees. Convenient. So convenient. So cruel. So American. So Gilded Age. Survival of the fittest, as long as the fittest write the rules. Survival of the fittest, as long as the fittest write the rules. But some writers refuse to follow the rules, refuse to gild the rot, refuse to prettify the ugliness. They show America as it is, not as it pretends to be. They call it realism. The rich call it dangerous. Mark Twain names the age, the Gilded Age, 1873, a novel written with Charles Dudley Warner about corruption, greed, false appearances. The book isn't very good, but the title is perfect, captures everything. Thin gold over base metal, beautiful surface, rotten core. America in 2 words. Twain knows both Americas. Born Samuel Clemens in Missouri, poor, becomes Mark Twain. Rich, sees the transformation, sees the cost. His humour turns bitter. The human race consists of the damned and the ought to be damned, he writes. Jokes that aren't jokes. Truth dressed as laughter. He attacks everything. Congress, the only Native American criminal class, the rich. A banker is a fellow who lends you his umbrella when the sun is shining, but wants it back the minute it begins to rain. Religion? Faith is believing what you know ain't so. America laughs, doesn't realize it's being diagnosed. Theodore Dreiser goes further. Sister Carrie, 1900, the story of a girl from Wisconsin, comes to Chicago, falls, not dramatically, gradually, naturally, takes up with men, for survival, not love, succeeds through sin, no punishment, no moral, just life. Middle America is shocked, immoral, indecent, un-American. The publisher buries the book, prints it, barely, doesn't promote it, lets it die, too real, too honest, shows what cities do to country girls, what poverty does to virtue, what America does to Americans. But realism isn't just in books, it's in buildings. Louis Sullivan and the Chicago School. Remember him? Form follows function. Buildings that look like what they are. No Greek columns on factories, no Roman arches on offices. American buildings for American purposes, honest architecture. The Wainwright Building, the Guarantee Building, the Carson Pirie Scott Store. Clean lines, big windows, minimal decoration. The decoration that exists, organic, flowing. Natural forms in iron and terracotta, not copied from Europe, created here. American as buffalo, as prairies, as capitalism. Then comes 1893, the World's Columbian Exposition, Chicago, America showing off, 400 years since Columbus, time to announce ourselves, to the world, to ourselves. The White City rises, plaster and dreams, temporary but perfect. What America could be, should be, isn't. 27 million visit. See electric lights everywhere, moving sidewalks, the first Ferris wheel. Culture and commerce mixed, art and industry married, the future on display, clean, white, orderly, nothing like real Chicago, nothing like real America. That's the point. But at the edges, reality creeps in. The midway, where the exotic lives, belly dancers, African villages, Wild West shows, the other on display, safe to gawk at, contained, controlled, Little Egypt dances, scandalized, titillated, dollars flow, culture collides, and in the saloons, in the brothels, in the real Chicago outside the White City, new music plays, ragtime, Scott Joplin's syncopated rhythms, African beats meeting European harmonies, the left hand steady, the right hand wild, order and chaos, control and freedom, America in music. Ragtime spreads like fever, from St. Louis, from New Orleans, north to Chicago, east to New York. Respectable people are horrified. That rhythm, those syncopations, it's savage, it's sexual, it's irresistible. Piano rolls carry it everywhere, every parlor piano plinking out rebellion. This is the sound of cultural collision. Black creativity meeting white instruments. Southern rhythms invading northern parlors, low mixing with high, poor teaching rich. The melting pot producing something new, something American, something real. The realists capture it all, in words, in buildings, in music, the beauty and ugliness, the aspiration and desperation, The white city and the black slums, the marble palaces and the wooden tenements. America without makeup, without gilding, without mercy. But America prefers the guilt, prefers the white city to the real city, prefers the moral tale to Sister Carrie's truth, prefers marches to ragtime. At first. But reality has a way of winning. Eventually. The guilt wears off. The plaster crumbles. The truth remains. Bitter as Twain's jokes. Shocking as Dry's heroin. Syncopated as Joplin's rags. Real as Sullivan's steel. This is America, like it or not. The realists make sure we see it. Make sure we can't look away. Make sure the age names itself. Gilded. Not golden. Never golden. Just gilded. And the gilt is wearing thin. This is America. Like it or not. The realists make sure we see it. Make sure we can't look away. Make sure the age names itself. Gilded. Not golden. Never golden. Just gilded. And the gilt is wearing thin. But some try to add real gold. Through books. Through learning. Through lifting the masses. Or controlling them. Depends on your view. Public schools spread across America. Free education. Revolutionary idea. Expensive idea. But necessary. All these immigrants. All these languages. All these cultures. How to make them American. School them. Drill them. Transform them. Education as factory. Children as raw material. Americans as product. The classroom ritual begins. Stand. Hand on heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Every morning. Every child. In Polish neighborhoods. Italian slums. Chinese quarters. Same words. Same flag. Same message. You're American now. Forget the old country. Forget the old language. Sometimes literally. Children beaten for speaking native tongues. English only. American only. But it works. Sort of. Children learn to read. Write. Calculate. More importantly, they learn to be American. What American means. Work hard. Follow rules. Don't question. Rise through merit. The American dream, packaged in McGuffey readers. Horatio Alger stories. Poor boys becoming rich men. Through virtue. Through effort. Through luck. Always luck, though they don't emphasize that part. Higher education transforms too. Johns Hopkins University, 1876, Baltimore. Something new. Not just teaching, research, the German model. Professors who discover, not just recite. Graduate students, seminars, laboratories. The modern university is born. Knowledge as product, professor as producer, student as apprentice. The model spreads. University of Chicago, Stanford, research universities, creating knowledge, creating experts, creating the professional class. Doctors trained in science, not apprenticeship. Lawyers trained in theory, not just practice. The expert emerges, the specialist. The man who knows more and more about less and less. But Andrew Carnegie thinks bigger. The masses need knowledge too. Not university knowledge, basic knowledge. Reading, self-improvement, culture, libraries, free libraries, everywhere. His gift to America, his monument, his guilt offering. 23509 Carnegie Libraries. Small towns, big cities, same design mostly. Classical, dignified, temples of learning, but with rules. The town must provide the land, must tax itself for maintenance. Carnegie builds, the town sustains. Shared responsibility, forced civic pride. Inside, wonder. Books. Thousands of books. Free to borrow. Free to read. The poor kid who can't afford school can educate himself. The immigrant who works all day can read at night. The woman barred from university can learn anyway. Democratic knowledge. In theory. In practice, not so democratic. Many libraries bar blacks. Some bar immigrants. Librarians, proper ladies usually, guard the gates. Decide who's worthy, what's appropriate. Censorship with a smile. But still. Books exist. Knowledge spreads. Slowly. Carefully. But spreads. The Chautauqua movement offers another path. Started at Lake Chautauqua, New York. 1874. Summer program. Lectures. Concerts. Sermons. Education as entertainment. Culture for the middle class. Families come. Camp. Learn. Feel elevated. The idea spreads. Circuit Chautauquas. Travelling culture. Tents rise in small towns, speakers arrive, William Jennings Bryan, Mark Twain, Booker T. Washington, music, magic shows, moral uplift, everything mixed, education or circus, both, neither, something uniquely American. Museums open too, not just for millionaires. The Metropolitan Museum. 1870. The Art Institute of Chicago. 1879. Public institutions. Sort of. Free days for the poor, usually Sundays, when workers can come, see real art, Greek statues, Renaissance paintings, Egyptian mummies, the world's culture, behind glass, behind ropes, but visible. The rich donate. Tax breaks help. But also genuine belief. Democracy needs culture. Voters need education. Workers need uplift. Give them libraries. Give them museums. Give them Chautauqua. Keep them busy. Keep them learning. Keep them grateful. Keep them from revolution. It works. Partially. Knowledge does spread. Horizons do expand. The factory girl reads Shakespeare. The immigrant boy studies engineering. The farmer's daughter sees Rembrandt. Small miracles. Daily miracles. Democracy inching forward. One book. One lecture. One painting at a time. But knowledge is dangerous. Reading leads to thinking. Thinking leads to questioning. Questioning leads to demanding. The same libraries that teach English teach rights. The same museums that show beauty show inequality. The same Chautauquas that uplift also agitate. Education cuts both ways. Always has. Always will. Carnegie knows this. The robber barons know this. But they build anyway. Hope the gratitude outweighs the anger. Hope the control outweighs the freedom. Hope the guilt holds a little longer. One library at a time. Education cuts both ways. Always has. Always will. Carnegie knows this. The robber barons know this. But they build anyway. Hope the gratitude outweighs the anger. Hope the control outweighs the freedom. Hope the guilt holds a little longer. One library at a time. But while America builds libraries, it runs out of land to conquer. The frontier, that safety valve for ambition and desperation, closes. Now what? The Census Bureau makes an announcement. No more frontier line. No more clear boundary between settled and unsettled. America is full, coast to coast. The line that moved west for 3 centuries stops, because there's nowhere left to go. The Pacific Ocean doesn't care about manifest destiny, but tell that to the Lakota. December 29th, 1890. Wounded Knee Creek, South Dakota. The 7th Cavalry surrounds a band of Lakota. The same regiment Custer led to disaster. They remember. They want revenge. The Lakota are dancing, the ghost dance, a religious movement, promise of a world where whites disappear, where buffalo return, where the dead rise, dangerous ideas, to white minds. The soldiers demand weapons. The Lakota comply. Mostly. A deaf man doesn't understand. Struggles. A rifle fires. Maybe accidental. Doesn't matter. The soldiers open fire. Hotchkiss guns. Designed for war, used on families. 300 Lakota dead. Half are women and children. Bodies frozen in the snow. The last battle of the Indian Wars. Not a battle. A massacre. But history books will call it a battle. For decades. The frontier's closed. But Indians still exist. Problem. Solution. The Dawes Act. 87. Break up reservations. Give Indians individual plots. Make them farmers. Make them Americans. Kill the Indian, save the man. That's the motto. Literally. Richard Pratt says it. Runs the Carlisle Indian School. Takes children from families. Cuts their hair. Forbids their language. Beats their culture out of them. Education as warfare. The land grab is obvious. Reservations hold millions of acres. Individual allotments need less. The surplus opens to white settlement. Indians lose 90 million acres. 2/3 of their land. Legal theft. Congressional approval. Presidential signature. Democracy in action. For whites. But America needs new frontiers. Look north. Alaska. Seward's Folly, they called it. 1867. Secretary of State William Seward buys it from Russia. $7.2 million, 2 cents per acre. Congress mocks. Newspapers laugh. Iceberg year. Will Russia. Seward's icebox. Who needs frozen wasteland? Gold answers. 1896. The Klondike strike. Thousands rush north. Most find nothing, but some strike rich. Then more gold. Nome, Fairbanks, Juneau. Seward's Folly becomes Seward's genius. Alaska has more than gold. Timber, fish, furs, strategic position. The purchase looks brilliant in hindsight, like most brilliance. Look west, past California, Hawaii, independent kingdom. But Americans live there, missionaries first, teaching salvation. Their children teach business, sugar business, Sanford Dole, Lauren Thurston, missionary sons, Hawaiian citizens, American hearts. They want annexation. Washington hesitates. A kingdom is overthrown. January 17th, 1893. Queen Liliuokalani tries to change the constitution, give power back to Hawaiians. The Missionary Sons Act, Committee of Safety they call themselves, 13 men. Overthrow a nation. How? US Marines help. Unofficially, the ambassador calls them. For protection, they protect the revolutionaries. The Queen surrenders. To avoid bloodshed, hopes America will restore her. America doesn't. Grover Cleveland investigates. Calls it illegal. Wants the Queen restored. Congress refuses. Business interest win. Sugar needs protection. Tariff protection. Military protection. Hawaii becomes a republic. Dole is president. Until America is ready. 1898. Spanish-American War. Now America needs Pacific bases. Hawaii is annexed. The stolen kingdom becomes a territory. Democracy spreads. At gunpoint, as usual. The frontier closes. But the frontier mentality remains. If we can't go west, go north. Can't go north? Go overseas. The hunger for land. For resources. For markets. It doesn't die with the frontier. It evolves. Becomes imperialism. Becomes empire. The same urge. Different direction. Vertical instead of horizontal. Up the ladder of nations. Over the bodies of natives. As American as apple pie. As American as Wounded Knee. As American as stealing Hawaii. The frontier never really closes. It just changes shape and keeps consuming. Whatever's in the way. The frontier never really closes. It just changes shape and keeps consuming whatever's in the way. In 1898, what's in the way is Spain. Old empire, weak empire, dying empire. Perfect for a young empire to practice on. A splendid little war, John Hay will call it. Splendid for whom? Not for the dead. What? February 15th, 1898, Havana Harbor. The USS Maine explodes. 266 American sailors dead. What caused it? Coal fire? Mine? Sabotage? Nobody knows. Spain probably didn't do it. Doesn't matter. Hearst has his headline, "Remember the Maine, to hell with Spain." The journal sells 1 million copies. War sells newspapers. Newspapers sell war. The yellow press beats the drums. Spanish atrocities in Cuba, some real, most exaggerated, all profitable. Hearst sends artist Frederick Remington to Cuba. Remington cables, "Everything quiet, no trouble here." Hearst responds, "You furnish the pictures, I'll furnish the war." He does, both. Congress declares war, April 25th, 1898. To free Cuba from Spanish tyranny. Noble cause, also convenient. America needs a war, needs to flex muscles, needs to join the Imperial Club, needs markets, needs naval bases, needs to prove the Civil War is over, North and South united, against someone else. The war is embarrassingly easy. Spain's navy is rotting, its army is sick. Tropical disease kills more Spanish than American bullets. The US Navy destroys the Spanish fleet in Manila Bay. May 1st, before breakfast. Admiral Dewey becomes a hero. Songs written, babies named, a gum named, Dewey Chewies. America loves easy victories. Theodore Roosevelt can't miss this. Assistant Secretary of the Navy. Resigns, forms the Rough Riders. Cowboys and aristocrats. Harvard men and outlaws. Roosevelt leads them up Kettle Hill. July Fairward, not San Juan Hill. That's nearby. History will conflate them. Roosevelt won't correct it. The charge becomes legend. Roosevelt becomes president. Eventually. War is good politics. If you win, if you survive, if you write the history. Cuba is freed. Sort of. American occupation replaces Spanish. Different flag, same control. But the real prize is the Philippines, Spain's Pacific colony, 7,000 islands, 10 million people. They think America comes to liberate. Like Cuba, America has other ideas. Emilio Aguinaldo leads the Filipino independence movement. Fights beside Americans against Spain. Expects independence, gets betrayal. America decides Filipinos aren't ready for self-government. Need civilizing. Need Christianity. Already Catholic. Need Protestant Christianity. Need American business. Need American rule for their own good. Always for their own good. The Anti-Imperialist League forms. Mark Twain joins, Andrew Carnegie, William James. They warn against empire. against betraying American ideals, against becoming what we fought. Their arguments are moral, practical, prophetic, and ignored. Empire is profitable. Profitable wins. The Philippine-American War begins. 1899. Not a splendid little war. A dirty big war. Filipinos fight guerrilla style. Americans respond brutally. Burn villages. Kill civilians. Create concentration camps, called Reconstruction zones. Sounds better. Doesn't smell better. Disease. Starvation. Death. The Spanish methods America condemned. Now American policy. The water cure enters American vocabulary. Torture technique. Force water down throats. Stomachs swell. Pain unbearable. Victims talk, or die, or both. American soldiers learn torture. Use it. Joke about it. The Filipino has no nerves, one writes home. You can't hurt them. Dehumanization complete. Democracy spreads. Through torture. Through murder. Through empire. 200,000 Filipinos die. Maybe more. Nobody counts carefully. 4,200 Americans die. Those get counted, named, mourned. The war drags on. 1899, 1900, 1901, 1902. Officially ends. Keeps going. Resistance continues. Suppression continues. The splendid little war becomes an ugly long occupation. But America doesn't notice. Much. Too busy getting rich. Too busy building skyscrapers. Too busy with the new century. The Philippines are far away. The dead are foreign. The torture is necessary. For civilization, for Christianity, for commerce. The 3 C's of empire. America joins the club, the imperial club, the torture club, the hypocrite club. Mark Twain writes, to the person sitting in darkness, satirizes American imperialism. Few read it. Fewer care. Empire is the new frontier. The new manifest destiny. Vertical expansion. Global reach. The splendid little war teaches America how. How to project power. How to hold colonies. How to torture. How to lie about it. Useful lessons. For the American century ahead. Built on Filipino bones. Baptized in Philippine blood. Sanctified by profitable hypocrisy. The frontier never closed. It just went global. The frontier never closed. It just went global. And with Filipino blood on its hands and Cuban sugar in its pockets, America steps onto the world stage. Not asking permission, not apologizing, just arriving. With warships, with dollars, with shovels to dig canals through other people's countries. The splendid little war is over. The American century begins. Theodore Roosevelt loves the Navy, loves power, loves showing both. 1907, he sends the Great White Fleet around the world. 16 battleships. Painted white. Peace colour, supposedly. But battleships are battleships. Whatever colour you paint them. 14,000 sailors. 43,000 tons of steel. 14 months at sea. The message is clear. America has arrived. America has muscle. America has reach. The fleet stops everywhere. Japan, China, Australia, Europe. Friendly visits. Gun ports closed, but visible. Bands play. Sailors march. Locals watch. And count. 16 battleships. More coming. The math is simple. America is powerful. Be friendly. Or else. But Roosevelt knows something. Military power is expensive, messy. Dollar diplomacy is cleaner. William Howard Taft perfects it. Though it starts under Roosevelt. Simple idea. Loan money to Latin American countries. They can't pay back. Take control of customs houses. Collect their taxes. Pay yourself first, then maybe them, if anything's left. Nicaragua needs money. America lends. Haiti needs money. America lends. Dominican Republic needs money. America lends. Always with conditions. Always with control. Financial imperialism. No soldiers needed. Just bankers. Just papers. Just debt that never dies. Cleaner than colonialism. Same results. The Panama Canal obsesses Roosevelt. A canal between oceans. Cut shipping time in half. Control global commerce. France tried. Failed. Malaria. Yellow fever. Mountains. But America is different. America doesn't fail. America just finds a way. Even if it has to create a country first. Colombia owns Panama. Doesn't want to sell canal rights. Not at America's price. Roosevelt rages. Calls them foolish and homicidal corruptionists. Solution? Revolution. Convenient revolution. Panamanian revolution. With American warships protecting. Preventing Colombia from stopping it. November 3rd, 1903, Panama declares independence. November 6th, America recognizes Panama. November 18th, Canal Treaty signed. Efficient. Suspicious. Successful. The canal zone becomes American territory. 10 miles wide, 50 miles long, sovereign American soil through Panama. Panama gets $10 million and annual rent, and independence under American protection. Protection from whom? Colombia. Protection by whom? The country that caused the problem. Circular logic, imperial logic, American logic. But the Gilded Age is ending. September 6, 1901. Buffalo, New York. The Pan-American Exposition. President McKinley shakes hands, loves meeting people. Leon Czolgosz waits in line. Anarchist, or crazy, or both. Handkerchief wrapped around his hand. Hiding a revolver, McKinley extends his hand. Czolgosz fires, twice, point blank. McKinley lingers 8 days. Dies, September 14th. The third presidential assassination. But different. Garfield died and nothing changed. McKinley dies and everything changes. Because Theodore Roosevelt becomes president. Young, energetic, progressive, imperialist. The perfect president for the new century. Roosevelt inherits a different America. Industrial power, military power, imperial power. The Gilded Age produced all three, but couldn't manage them. Too corrupt, too obvious, too crude. Roosevelt is different, still serves the rich, but pretends to fight them, still builds empire, but calls it democracy, still uses power, but with style. September 1901, the dividing line. Before, robber barons rule openly. After, they rule carefully. Before, corruption is blatant. After, it's subtle. Before, America looks inward. After, America looks everywhere. The Gilded Age tarnished itself to death. The progressive era begins, shinier, cleaner, more deceptive. But that's another story. This story ends with McKinley's last breath. With Roosevelt taking the oath. With America standing astride the world. Powerful. Proud. Hypocritical. The Gilded Age built the machine. Fed it with immigrant sweat. Oiled it with worker blood. Powered it with stolen land. Now it runs. Across oceans. Through countries. Over bodies. The American machine. Too big to stop. Too profitable to question. Too powerful to resist. The Gilded Age is dead. Long live what it created. The American Empire. Born in guilt. Raised in blood. Ready to consume the century. $1. One canal. One intervention at a time. The Gilded Age is dead. Long live what it created. The American Empire. Born in guilt. Raised in blood. Ready to consume the century. $1. One canal. One intervention at a time. But before we close the ledger on this age of extremes, let's count. What was built? What was lost? What remains? The numbers tell one story. 1865, America makes $2 billion worth of goods. 1900, $13 billion, 6 times more. 1865, 35 million Americans. 1900, 76 million. Doubled. Cities explode. Chicago grows from 100,000 to 1.7 million. New York reaches 3.4 million. Skyscrapers rise. 20 stories. 30. Higher. Electric lights turn night to day. Telephones shrink distance. Automobiles promise speed. Industrial might achieved. World power status claimed. The machine works. But numbers lie, or rather numbers hide. Behind each statistic, human cost. Wages? Yes, they rise. From $1 a day to $1.50. But prices rise faster. Rent doubles. Food costs more. The arithmetic of survival gets harder. Profits? They soar. Rockefeller makes $40 million a year. His workers make $500. Do the math. 80,000 to 1. The gap isn't just wide, it's obscene. Immigration? 14 million arrive. Seeking dreams. Finding tenements. 5 to a room. 10 to a room. Children in factories, mothers taking in washing, fathers dying in mills. The American dream? For some. American nightmare. For more. But they stay. They survive. They transform America. And America transforms them. Not always for the better. What dies in these 35 years? Community. The village where everyone knows everyone. Gone, replaced by anonymous cities. Where neighbours are strangers. Where poverty hides behind walls. Where wealth hides behind gates. Tradition dies too. Craftsmen become factory hands. Farmers become wage slaves. Skills passed down for generations become worthless. Machines don't need apprentices. Innocence dies hardest. America thought it was different, special, exceptional. The Gilded Age proves otherwise. America tortures in the Philippines. America has slums worse than Europe. America's democracy is for sale. The shining city on the hill, covered in soot, built on graves gilded with hypocrisy. But something else is born. The middle class, not rich, not poor, in between. Clerks, salesmen, teachers, nurses. They read newspapers, attend chautauquas, send children to high school, even college. They have enough to eat, enough to hope, enough to demand better. They're the future, though they don't know it yet. And reform stirs. Muckrakers prepare their pens, progressives organize, women demand votes, workers demand rights. The excesses of the Gilded Age create their own opposition. Every tenement builds a reformer, every trust creates a trustbuster, every excess demands correction. The pendulum swings, always swings. The Gilded Age pushed it too far, now it swings back. Theodore Roosevelt understands. Pretends to, anyway. Speaks softly. Carries big stick. Busts a trust or two. For show. Passes pure food laws. For safety. Conserves some land. For posterity. The progressive era begins. Not revolution. Evolution. The system adjusts. Survives. Thrives. The Gilded Age built the foundation. Progressives add the facade. Make it presentable. Make it bearable. Make it last. The balance sheet balances, sort of. Great wealth created. Great poverty too. Amazing technology. Dehumanizing work. Stunning buildings. Squalid slums. Everything America becomes starts here. The good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly. All gilded. All connected. All American. The balance sheet balances, sort of. Great wealth created, great poverty too, amazing technology, dehumanizing work, stunning buildings, squalid slums. Everything America becomes starts here. The good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly, all gilded, all connected, all American, and all happening again. Look around. 2025. Tech billionaires with more money than nations. Bezos, Musk, Zuckerberg, the new Rockefellers, building rockets instead of railroads, controlling information instead of oil, same concentration of wealth, same justifications, disruption, innovation, progress. For whom? Workers sleep in cars outside Amazon warehouses, can't afford rent on warehouse wages. Gig economy drivers work 16 hours, no benefits, no security, no future, just algorithms managing humans. The new assembly line, the new tenements, different century, same story. Immigration? The faces change. Mexican instead of Italian, Indian instead of Irish, Muslim instead of Catholic. But the fears remain. They'll take our jobs, change our culture, vote wrong. The same arguments, word for word sometimes. History doesn't repeat, it rhymes, and the rhyme is ugly. AI arrives like the railroad arrived, promising transformation, delivering disruption. Jobs vanish. Skills worthless overnight. Journalists replaced by chatbots. Artists by algorithms. Drivers by machines. Creative destruction, economists say. Easy to say when you're not destroyed. But the pattern holds. Excess creates opposition. Inequality breeds anger. Disruption demands response. Already the stirrings. Unions organizing Amazon warehouses. Cities taxing tech companies. Workers demanding dignity. The pendulum swings. Always swings. May take time, always takes time, but it swings. The question remains. The eternal American question. Progress for whom? Technology for what? Wealth serves who? The Gilded Age never answered. Just gilded over the questions. We do the same. New guilt. Same rot. New technology. Same inequality. New century. Same struggle. History teaches. If we listen, reform follows excess. Always. Eventually. The Gilded Age birthed the progressive era. What will our Gilded Age birth? What reforms wait? What changes come? The future isn't written, but the pattern is clear. The machine breaks. The people suffer. The people rise. The system adjusts. The cycle continues. American as apple pie. American as exploitation. American as hope. The Gilded Age never ended. It just changed clothes. The struggle continues, must continue, will continue, until the gilt wears off, until the real gold shows. if there is any. The Gilded Age never ended. It just changed clothes. The struggle continues, must continue, will continue, until the gilt wears off, until the real gold shows, if there is any. But now, as evening falls on our story, let the struggles fade. Let the noise quiet. Let the past become a lullaby. Picture it. 1901, twilight in New York. The last gas lamps flicker on empty streets. One by one they're replaced. Electric bulbs humming softly, the old light dying, new light born. No drama, just gentle transition, like sleep approaching, like dreams beginning. The century turns like a page in a book, quiet, inevitable. The elevated trains slow their clattering. The factories bank their fires. Even the tenements grow peaceful. Children sleep despite the crowding. Mothers hum lullabies in dozen languages, all the same song. Rest now, tomorrow comes, tomorrow always comes. Fortunes made and lost drift like autumn leaves. Carnegie's millions, Rockefeller's empire, Morgan's deals. They seemed so permanent, so important. But time is the great leveller. Money crumbles, power fades, only stories remain. Stories of struggle, stories of hope, stories of humans being human. This is the eternal American story. Reinvention, starting over, failing, rising, building something from nothing, losing everything, building again. The immigrant's story, the farmer's story, the worker's story, your story, my story, our story. Continuing, always continuing. Close your eyes. Let the Gilded Age fade. Let the strikes and scandals soften. Let the heroes and villains become shadows. They're all sleeping now. The titans and the workers, the rich and poor, all equal in sleep, all dreaming their American dreams. Dream with them, dream of possibility, dream of justice, dream of morning. Because morning always comes, after the darkest night, after the longest struggle. Morning comes, and with it, chance. Another chance, the American promise. Not always kept, but always offered, always hoped for. Sleep now, let history be your pillow. Let the past whisper its lessons, softly, gently. The Gilded Age is over. Its children are sleeping. Join them. Dream of gold that isn't gilded. Dream of progress that includes everyone. Dream of America becoming what it promises. Someday. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe in your dreams. Tonight, sleep well. The story ends. The dream begins.